You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Happy hump day. Let's get over it together, huh? How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on this Wednesday here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I'm back in the saddle again right next to you. Sound a lot louder, don't I?
You do. You do. I like it.
You like it?
Yeah.
I woke my Aunt Kathy up each of the last 2 mornings. I was broadcasting from my mom's house. My mom and Aunt Kathy, 2 divorced moms, moved in together. They had enough money 40 years ago, all right, to join forces, and each, instead of having this, my mom had been living in apartments for 13 years. Aunt Kathy had been living in a house. She didn't want to move into the apartments. So she said to my mom, what do you say we pull our resources together? Live in a condo. So they've been living together ever since. So I was broadcasting from their dining room the last 2 mornings. Aunt Kathy sleeps directly above the dining room. She told me, don't worry about it. I sleep through anything.
Not how the heck are you?
Not how the heck are you? Nope.
Well, and your tendency, your trait is to go up.
Yes.
With how the heck are you? You don't go down. You don't go out. You go up.
I definitely don't go down. Sometimes I go straight forward in a hotel room if, I want to.
But it's up more times than not. And
Yes.
especially with the headsets. It's a tilt and a lean and a how the heck are you?
Yep.
I've studied it on tape.
I've got a tendency.
Right? It's a tell.
The defense knows how to play me nowadays.
Blitz from the weak side, the head's up.
So
a little pressure up the middle, just like Brady. It's if I can get pressure up the middle, it's a little tougher for you to do how the heck are you.
So for those that were watching on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, all right, yes, that bird feeder that was over my shoulder, which the squirrels just attack. All right, that was from my mom and Aunt Kathy's place in Edison, New Jersey.
And we couldn't get Mom on the show.
Nope.
Did you even effort?
No. In fact, she knew if she came downstairs, there was a possibility that her reflection off of the window behind me and all that. And so she would not even come downstairs until the show was over.
Unbelievable.
Because she knows that the Twitch posse, wants her to make an appearance on the show. And she's like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Do you know one of the great accomplishments in my life was making sure that my mom never responded to all of the people who were commenting on my columns for those 10 years, because you used to read them and get a kick out of people telling me just how much I suck.
When David did columns for the 2 papers in Southwest Florida, different times back and forth, comments were at a height of newspaper articles.
Right. You suck. You're wrong. You suck and you're wrong. Right.
And those were the nice comments.
Right. And my mother saw them and she got offended and she wanted to respond.
I understand exactly why she got offended. People
told
me complete anonymity can really
be
nasty from time to time.
Right. And so come on, it's your mom. I mean, it's tough to get your mom to follow instructions. It usually works the other way.
Truth.
Right. Works the other way around.
Ain't it the truth?
And so I said to her, impassioned, one day, you have no idea. All you have to do is respond one time. All right. And I'm going to be the sports columnist nationwide whose mama, all right, was coming to his defense. Can't happen. Not once. Not once. In fact, I would advise you stop reading the comments. Kind of like when I said to you, stop watching the news. See how much better your life's been?
Great advice.
Right. Worked the same way with my mom. All right. All of a sudden, no more angst. She'd read the column and she'd think it was halfway decent. Good.
That's the whole idea.
Right.
Be proud.
Don't read the comments in which you find out just how much your son sucks. Okay. No. Just think it was 6.5 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah. From H217F.
So Nice to be back in the saddle again. We have a hell of a show today, got to admit. This actually, this might be better than Miller Moulton right here. This is such a good
pretty
show.
solid. I would agree with that.
Man. Got NASCAR driver Aric Almirola, a Tampa native. He will call into the show. It's right at 9 o'clock. For those of you in Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte, and Venice, you're going to have to find the bonus hour. They're in Daytona this weekend. And, of course, we're fired up. It's a big NASCAR week on the show. Friday, we're live. Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers, the Napa Auto Parts, Chase Elliott. We're going to do our show till 10. He'll show up at 11. I want to see how he shows up. I want to see, is it a plane? Is it a copter? Is it a stretch limo? All right. Is it just just a regular old...
Doesn't he drive his number 9 car around just regularly? Isn't that how he gets from place to place?
That's what I was thinking. He pulls up in the NASCAR?
Right, pulls up in the Napa number 9 car. I mean, isn't that the whole point of this?
I mean, why else are we doing this?
You do know you got to pay for both, Okay, the car doesn't come with the driver. The car has a life of its own, literally. I mean, some people just pay for the car, all right, and not the driver. Some people pay for the driver and not the car. You don't get one with the other. It's not how it works in this here game. NASCAR separated the car from the driver a long time ago when it comes to personal appearances. Just letting you know.
Was over testing the equipment yesterday. Felipe and I making sure everything was all ready for Friday, way out ahead of the game. So we're ready to go, fired up. John over at Napa, he's all fired up. Starting to get nervous, though. With these big events, the owners of stores, now the nerves are setting in. He's got corporate people coming in. He's got radio show coming in. He wants to make sure everything's ready. He wants to make sure there's a big crowd. And the nerves set in.
Right.
Because he asked me, he goes, how, you all set with this? I go, I'm the same way you are. We haven't been on the road in 4 years. I go, I'll panic right up until the .601 comes and we're on the air. Don't you worry.
John, take my advice. You look at those corporate people and you tell them, hey, where have you been? All right? This is my event. You just enjoy the snacks. That's your role in this whole thing. Smile for the pictures and enjoy the snacks.
Wow.
Maybe not.
Wow.
It would be something if he just drove up in a Camaro. I mean, not his number 9 car, because that's at Daytona, because when the event's over, he's got to get back and qualify the sucker. All right. But it would be something, since he drives a Chevy Camaro, that if he just pulled up in a Chevy Camaro, I mean, I would think they could arrange it where, a local Chevy dealer could pick him up at, whatever airport he's flying into and say, here, take this courtesy car to the event.
Right. Would make sense.
Right.
Is it stereotypical for a NASCAR driver to be driving like an American muscle car?
He should be driving the car since he drives a Chevy Camaro.
He has to drive a Chevy Camaro.
Got it.
It would make a whole lot of sense if he was driving a different car.
You can't pick him up in a Prius.
Or like you can't pick them up in like a European.
No.
This is NASCAR.
No.
Right.
I
Exactly.
mean, I have to admit, I'm not into the whole, Chevy versus, Ford versus it, but they do pay a lot of money.
It's funny that you're not. It's the thing that I pay the most attention to.
Do you really?
Born in Saginaw, Michigan. We're a General Motors town. Other towns in Michigan may have been a Ford town, but Saginaw was a GM town.
Okay.
So for that reason, my dad worked for General Motors his whole life.
So
I pull for the Chevys.
Now, do you pick your drivers accordingly? Like, do you say I can only root for a Chevy driver?
No, I can like other drivers, but ultimately I'd prefer that if Chevys win.
Okay.
I find myself in a race if, now Ross is driving, I've turned into a Ross Chastain guy. He's driving a Chevy. That makes me happy that the guy I like drives a Chevy. But if it's push comes to shove and it's two guys that I don't so much care about, I would pull for the manufacturer.
Well, that makes a lot of sense now that you think about it, because you drive a Chevy.
How about that?
Although you haven't, continuously.
No.
You've ventured off the reservation.
A couple of times.
Right. the very first time, my grandfather, who was the dominant male figure in my life, my mom's dad, all right, he proud, and he was an auto mechanic, a proud American automobile guy, much preferred to fix American cars. And the very first time that I bought from not Chevy or Ford, I mean, he just kind of glared at me.
I get it. Makes sense. And yeah, I've driven other cars, but I've never driven a Ford. I've never owned a Ford in my life.
Really?
Never will.
Not even a Bronco?
That's interesting. That's interesting. All these years later. So you'll drive a Toyota, a Hyundai, a Mercedes.
I don't think I'd drive a
BMW?
Toyota or a Hyundai. I mean, I had a Toyota once, never again. I felt very guilty owning a Toyota. Very guilty.
Well, the sponsor came in with a lot more money. It was kind of like Phil when he was playing the best golf of his life, and all of a sudden he changed clubs.
Right. Now,
Okay.
Toyota wants to jump on the Florida Sports Network. I can become a Toyota fan.
I'll tell you, it's a
Southwest Florida Ford dealers want to come be a part of the Florida Sports Network.
or the Florida Ford dealers, right? That'd be phenomenal.
I'm in. I'll change on a dime.
Listen, I have been a Chevy man all my life. My father is watching down from the heavens. We are proud Chevy men. Hey guys, just want to let you know we have a new sponsor. It's your Florida Ford dealers.
Ah, I have no soul.
It's good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly how the LIV series works. All right. If you want to know how it all went down, okay, this is exactly how it played out.
Wow, that's a dadgum good point right there, David.
I am a Chevy man, a proud Chevy man. My father wouldn't be caught dead in anything other than a Chevy. We've got this hell of an offer from Ford. You know what? Always loved those F-150s.
There it is. There it is.
Uh,
Selling out with the best of them.
but at least you're waiting for the right deal.
Miller and Moulton, we thank you for listening. Great show lined up today right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
If you own 6 Southwest Florida Napa stores and were a big NASCAR fan, wouldn't you put the two together?
How about bringing Chase Elliott to Fort Myers?
Friday, August 26th, Chase Elliott will sign autographs at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers beginning at 11 a.m.
The best way to get in line, stop by one of the 6 family-owned Napa Auto Parts stores. Stop by the Napa Auto Parts stores in Fort Myers, 1820 Boy Scout Drive, or 4175 Palm Beach Boulevard. You can go to Cape Coral at 1220 Vizcaya Boulevard, 532 Pine Island Road in North Fort Myers, 17284 San Carlos Boulevard in Fort Myers Beach, or in Punta Gorda at 1810 Tamiami Trail.
Sign up for your chance to meet and get an autograph with Chase Elliott.
Coming Friday, August 26th at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive starting at 11 a.m.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
25 bitter thing.
Yeah.
So he had just done a segment on it, and he brought me on, and he's talking about it, and then he transitions over to Mets Yankees, and I go, Tom, you are not going to like what I'm about to say, and I'm like, Tom, that's not even a rivalry. It's not. I go, the Mets play the Arizona Diamondbacks more a year than they play the Yankees. The Yankees play the Royals more times a year than they play the Mets. I go, they've had 5 rivalry games in their history. It was the 2000 World Series. And his producer's a big Braves fan. And I said, what's your producer on right now? I go, what's bigger? All right. Yankees Braves or Mets Braves? All right. He goes, oh man, we played 9 times against you guys in the last 2 weeks. I go, there you go. He said, Tom, I didn't watch a pitch last night. I had dinner with my mom. I go, Mets played the Braves 9 games. I go, I didn't talk to my wife.
I forgot to turn it on because of practice.
Sure.
I've gotten to where I like watching the Yankees just because of Judge now. I'm their appointment television when they're on. I had to go find it on TBS last night.
Okay. That's another thing he was freaking out about. A kid walking around the stadium had a Mets hat and Judge jersey. I said, he's a kid. I said, you can be a Mets fan.
I thought
like
the
Judge.
coolest thing about the shots in the crowd proved your point. There was a Yankees fan, looked like a total Bronx, New York Italian.
Right.
This was Monday night.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there and he's kind of heavy. And here comes this little kid in a Mets jersey walking by and he high fives him. That to me summed up what that was. And there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of Mets and Yankees sitting with one another and those type of things. It doesn't even look bitter. I think the Cubs White Sox is more bitter than the Mets Yankees.
Totally.
There's more animosity in the South Side North Side thing than there is a Mets Yankee.
I don't know that there's animosity in the Mets Yankees.
I've never seen it. I didn't realize he told me that, and when they run that little montage, that second shot's City of Palms.
Oh, really?
When you watch, and you can tell, he goes up in the air in the practice. The next shot they show is him dunking City of Palms. Yeah. If you look, you can see it. Like, cool. Now that you know, you'll go, oh, no shit. I was trying to figure out, I was watching this last night, and I saw it after the fact. So Aaron Sanchez hits Altuve with a pitch. Altuve gets pissed. David, the ball was inside. Altuve really tries to get out. Did you see it?
No.
Altuve really tries to get out of the way, and it looked like it went it looked like it just great. And Altuve's pissed.
Do you think he was thrown at him?
I don't care. Like, go to first base, dude. It's a 2-0 game.
Right.
I don't think he was thrown at him. They're down 2-0, by the way.
Huh.
This Jose de Jesus Ortiz, the Twins' Aaron Sanchez hit Jose Altuve with a pitch. Altuve was visibly upset. Then Sanchez stared at him as Altuve walked towards first, prompting Martin Maldonado and the Astros to come out of the dugout. The dugout's emptied before calm was restored. It was an inside pitch. Like, you're down 2-0. Are you really trying to hit Jose Altuve? Not to mention you're down 3 games in the division. You're not. Come on. Everybody needs to just.
Yep. Helps to be playing some bad teams, but
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. The starting five is a little more than 15 minutes away. I have to admit, and I don't want to, maybe go down a road. I don't necessarily want to go down, but I do feel as if I want to get this off my chest. I do like the fact that an organization stood up to a star player yesterday and said, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You're not getting your way. And I am very much a player's guy. But you sign a 4-year contract extension. You're not 1 day into the extension, not a day into the extension. And you're threatening to blow up the organization. Well, I want out. Well, I'll stay, but only if you get rid of the coach and the general manager. And every step along the way, the owner has basically said, shut up. Spend that $198 million however you want and shut up. I like what the Nets did with Kevin Durant here in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I don't know how many shut-ups were in there.
That's just how I interpret it.
I mean, your interpretation is fantastic. Because it seemed that there was a touch more groveling and ass-kissing than there was shut-upping.
You're probably right. But just where I sat, all right, it was that billionaire, all right, standing up to the multi-millionaire and going, shut up.
That's not necessarily how I looked at it, but I like your interpretation much better. It makes for a better story.
Well, all I know is he publicly asked for a trade. Yeah. And then he publicly came out and said, well, I'll stay, but you got to get rid of the coach and the general manager. The owner came out 8 minutes later and said, yeah, we're not getting rid of the coach and the general manager, and you'll play and you'll like it. And now I guess that, they did at least fly to him.
Right.
To tell him to shut up.
Right. They flew out
right.
to meet with him.
With the coach and general manager.
Right.
Too. Right. So there was probably more groveling, more butt smooching involved than I would have liked.
Yeah, I think the only shut up may have come from Durant to either the coach or the GM at some point and said, I'm only listening to the guy that pays me.
I guess I'm just envisioning that all of a sudden the owner of the Nets turned into Pat Riley. All right, that's what I'm envisioning, hoping. Somebody needs to, just say, enough already.
What a saga for basically nothing to happen.
I can't believe it. I mean, all of those talking head shows on the 4-letter network. Think of all the segments they did.
Hours.
Oh.
Upon hours.
Graphics upon
hours.
Graphics. Where's he going to go?
How many teams was he traded to?
Well, first off, I mean, he was going to end up in Boston. I mean, let me just count the ways that he was going to end up in Boston. They're best equipped, Mark. They're best equipped, even though really New Orleans was. But Boston's best equipped, Mark.
So Boston.
Right.
But New Orleans was on the list. Memphis was on the list.
Yeah, it was just literally. Here's the funny thing. Just Monday.
Right. Golden State managed somehow to,
Well, right, because he was jealous that they won a title without him. And so, they got all these spare parts.
Phoenix before DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, you're right. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's
going
5.
Going to Phoenix.
Miami.
There was definitely talk that was on his list. Philadelphia.
Got to work.
Yeah, Philly.
Yeah, that's right.
Philadelphia.
A couple weeks ago, Philly. Right, because him and Harden apparently now have this great relationship.
Exactly.
Which was funny because I thought just 4 months ago they were giving each other the double Eli Bird. But apparently, no, we misconstrued that.
So that's 7.
Oh, yeah, he's gone. He's never playing for him again. I don't know why more owners don't do this. I mean, this is Kobe Bryant and the Lakers from 15 years ago. People forget this chapter in Kobe and the Lakers. Before they went to the 3 straight finals, lost the first one and won back-to-back there. Okay, Kobe asked for a trade. It was like 07. Shaq had been gone 2-3 years. Shaq went to Miami, went to a conference final, then won an NBA title. Lakers weren't winning. You know, the Spurs were the team out west, along with Dallas. The Lakers were nowhere to be found, and Kobe wanted out. Demanded a trade. Lakers said, "We're not trading you. Are you crazy? We're building a team around you. Shut up."
Once again, back to the shut up.
Yes. I mean, it wasn't Jeannie Buss, because if so, it would have sounded a little differently. But they just said, "Listen, dude, all right, just give us some time. All right, we'll tell you what, we got this deal we're working on. Okay, we are going to fleece somebody for this guy named Pau Gasol, and we're going to be good again soon."
Could somebody get in touch with an owner of any team and please get Moulton one job as a GM, if just for a month, so you two can hear, shut.
I wonder what contract negotiations with Moulton is like.
Ironically, they would be incredibly simple.
I'm great with other people.
He'd overpay everybody on his.
I would.
His cap guy would hate him.
Absolutely. Hey, I don't know how you're going to structure this, but this is how much this guy's making over the next 3 years. Yes, I know. What can I tell you? I like him. Right. Structure it however you think it'll work.
He would be a salary capologist nightmare.
We'd have great press conferences, though.
You definitely answer all the questions.
Yeah, we'd be interesting. We would. As a team, we'd be interesting. I'd like to think we'd at least be competitive.
I don't care the sport. I think you'd be interesting and competitive. If not, you'd start trading people. We know that for certain.
Right. Because you know what I'd do? I'd tell the players, shut up. Go get another one. Look just like you.
Uh-huh. I'm sure that's what the owner said to Kevin Durant. Because there's so many just like him out there.
Actually, you really can't get another one look just like him.
No,
and
you
I'm
can't.
talking about like forever.
Right.
Right. You know, it's funny. My mom asked me about Kevin Durant on Monday for whatever reason. I think because we brought him up briefly and what have you. And she goes, "Is he really that special?" I go, "Well, he's taller than Bill Russell, and he's one of the 5 best shooters in the game."
My goodness, when you put it like that.
I go, "So that's a really good combination."
He's taller than Bill Russell.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest
And one of the greatest. So, yeah, actually, that's a tough matchup. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Seems to be what they call a matchup nightmare.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whatever era you're talking about there, right? That one's a tough one. Yep. And he's married to the game. He's in the gym every day playing ball. It's all he wants to do. So, now don't get me wrong. I'd still tell him to shut up.
And give me your burner phone while you're at it.
Yeah, really. You need to stay off Twitter, young man.
Give me that phone. You know what you need to really do is not be on your phone.
Tell you what, you're asking for $198 million over 4 years. I'll give you more if you'll get rid of that phone.
How's 210 sound? And I get the phone for just, you know what, one season. We see how it goes.
Yeah.
Ever since he was exposed, he's more shameless now on Twitter, though, publicly.
I know.
Still a head case.
Oh, for sure.
So I just enjoyed that little thing in the sports world yesterday. We'll talk about it coming up a little over an hour from now. You know, now is there anything else to talk about in the damn league? Be honest.
No,
nothing.
For the next 4 or 5 months, I think, even when games start.
6-7 months.
I'm dry.
From now until the All-Star. No, I mean, from now until the All-Star break, there's not a lot to talk about. Unless some team comes completely out of nowhere. The starting 5, that will not completely out of nowhere. It'll come next on Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network. Golfers, Are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
First on race day. Well, damn. What? This is a long one here. Fam, what the? This is a Faulkner paragraph here. Well, first off, fam, I think it depends how many picks you giving up here. Like, I'm fine with the Knicks, reported Knicks offer of Toppin, Fournier, and a couple other spare parts maybe for salary purposes, and 4 first-round picks, 2 protected, 2 not. I'm fine with that. Anything more than that, I'm not fine. I don't want to give up Grimes. I don't want to give up quickly. And I don't want to give up more than 4 first-rounders. But in theory, I mean, the ones that are protected are in the high teens or 20s. And if you acquire Mitchell, in theory, you're going to be a playoff team. So your picks are going to be in the high teens or 20s. So, the other thing, fam, You'll now have two guys in the backcourt who both want to be Knicks. People haven't wanted to play for the Knicks for 20 years. And both Brunson and Mitchell desperately want to be Knicks. I think that's worth something. Well, Canada Relief, the Coyotes' new arena is the Arizona State Arena. They're playing on a college campus for 3 years. Now, Jimmy, remember he played for the New York Nets. They were playing on Long Island at the time that the doctor played for him.
Gary Busey's kind of lost his mind.
Yeah, that was disturbing.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll talk the association. And quite frankly, is there anything now to talk about after the Nets stood up to Kevin Durant? Is this the beginning of a trend? Huh? We'll do that an hour from now. Pat Kirwan will join us, top of the 8 o'clock hour. Seth Everett, 2 hours from now. And Aric Almirola, Tampa native. He said this is going to be his final year. Racing means he needs a win at Daytona to get into the playoff. We'll talk to the Tampa native coming up at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. Jam-packed show today. And we're just 2 days away from Chase Elliott coming to Fort Myers to a Napa Auto Parts on Boy Scout Drive. He'll be there from 11 to 1, signing autographs for at least an hour of it.
I'm going to get there Thursday night around at 6:30. I'm spending the night. I'm going to be first in line.
Did you ever spend the night for anything?
Concert tickets all the time.
When's the last time?
Oh, college.
Okay. I was post-college last time I did it. All right. I was mid-20s last time I did it. And I did one of those charity things on a billboard in Fargo in the fall. It was chilly. I slept on a billboard.
Seriously?
Yeah.
How high up in the air?
In probably two stories, I'd say.
Whew.
Yeah, it was chilly. It was chilly. I mean, some places you pay attention to the wind chill. Ground level there, you paid attention to the wind chill. About, story and a half, 2 stories up, chilly.
How much room did you have?
More than I thought when I had agreed to it. It was for charity.
I don't care. I'm up 20 feet in the air on a billboard.
Right.
I'm petrified of heights. This whole thing sounds terrible to me.
Well, I'm not petrified of heights when I did it. So I was okay with it. And I was in my early 30s.
Like my knees are shaking right now
Really?
thinking about doing that.
Huh. That's interesting. Plus, you can just sit up against the billboard, just kind of use it.
Sure.
But you know me, I can sleep anywhere. I mean, sleeping on that billboard is like falling asleep in the airplane. And I'm asleep before takeoff most every time, except last night. It's because takeoff was delayed over 90 minutes.
You should have been out that whole time.
Here's the problem. I actually slept half of it, but it was delayed over 90 minutes. And the air doesn't work well when you're just sitting there. You got to be kind of in the air. So it was hot. And like you, Mark, I run hot. So I don't like sleeping in the
I don't blame you.
Right. I need it cool.
You needed a billboard.
I did. I needed a wind chill. I did. 19 minutes before the hour, time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
We got a lot of stuff. I mean, we got baseball stuff, football stuff. I'm going to start with baseball stuff. After all, years ago, we named this the Baseball Hour. Fernando Tatis showed up in San Diego. He apologized to the players in person and then talked to the media. He swears he took that steroid treating a skin condition. And oh, by the way, that left shoulder, which has been bothering him for over a year, he's now going to have shoulder surgery. He'll be ready for spring training. Apparently, he's allowed to show up at spring training, get in shape and the whole deal. And then much like Deshaun Watson, right before the season starts, he's got to go away. And he's suspended until May of next year. Dodgers righty Walker Buehler had his second Tommy John surgery. The 28-year-old had his first 7 years ago. He's going to miss, obviously, the rest of this year. He'll miss all of next year. So you won't see Walker Buehler again until he's 30, and it's 2024. We're going to see Bryce Harper again by Monday at the latest. He began his week-long AAA rehab. Yeah, he hit 2 home runs coming back from the broken left thumb. And Artie Moreno announced he's selling the Angels yesterday. He says he's just looking into it. Anybody who's interested, give me a call. He's selling the Angels. So he's not going to be the one who's
the
paying.
Angels or a used F-150 by the way you describe it. Hey, give me a call. I got a car here. You want to buy it? Forget about it. All of a sudden I'm my boss instead of an owner of a Major League Baseball team because you know what? The voice sounded good.
Hey, listen here. So this Steve Cohen guy, he paid $2.45 for the Mets. I'd like a little more.
I got a Trout and an Ohtani.
Although I may not have an Ohtani for long. So why don't you give me a call? My guess is Angels get about $2 billion. If you had the money, would you buy the Angels?
Hey, sounds like a good deal to me.
I mean, you get a Trout and an Ohtani. Speaking of a Trout and Ohtani, Trout homered. Ohtani didn't do much. And the Rays bombed the Angels 11-1 before 8,810 at the Trop. For the number 1 wild card team in the American League who've won 9 of 11. That's right, 88-10, less than the 9,000 and change who showed up on Monday. But the coup de grace, ladies and gentlemen, once again, in Oakland, Marlins A's, and we had the over-under at, was it 5,000? Because it was 2,600 and change on Monday.
Well,
You wanted to do 4, right?
I wanted to do 3,500.
Okay. So,
and I was going under.
Okay, so fine. 3,500 over under last night in Oakland, Marlins A's. They did 26 and change on Monday.
Under.
Over. A robust crowd, more than 50% bigger than Monday.
Wow.
4,028. Huh? They've drawn like 6,700 so far to this series. Marlins won again 5-3. Yankees beat the Mets again 4-2. Judge homered again. That's 48 for Judge. And you combine that with the Braves 6-1 win in Pittsburgh. Atlanta's won 13 of 15, by the way. And just like that, the Braves are 2 back All the Mets fans giving me grief as I keep picking the Braves to win the East. Phillies beat the Reds 7-6. They scored 2 in the ninth. Right now, the Phils are the 5 seed, a game ahead of the Padres, who lost to the Guardians 3-1. San Diego is the 6th seed, and they lead Milwaukee by a game and a half. Brewers lost to the Dodgers 10-1. Cardinals and Cubs split a doubleheader. Cubs 2-0, Cards 13-3. St. Louis is leading the Centrals 5.5. Toronto bombed Boston 9-3. Red Sox are 3 below 500. Think we're done talking about them?
Yeah.
Seattle doubled up Washington 4-2. So let's see. Rays won, Jays won, Mariners won. Good thing the Orioles won 5-3 over the White Sox. They're still 2.5 out of the playoffs, but they're trying to keep pace.
I mean, trying, but it's tough.
Yeah, because Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Seattle got it going on right now. Houston doubled up the Twins 4-2. So if you're paying attention, Cleveland won, and both the Twins and White Sox lost. Yeah, that lead is beginning to grow. Mark, Justin Verlander had a no-hitter through 6. He threw 91 pitches, and they took him out.
Right.
Do we have an explanation? Like, did he ask out? Did he say, hey, I'm feeling a little tired? Or did they say, listen, he's not going to be able to go the distance, so there's no reason keeping him in? I mean Verlander's thrown, what, 2 of these suckers?
He had no problem with it.
So I'm guessing
he was on a 90 pitch limit.
Okay. So there you have it. By the way, Twins 4 out of the wild card, White Sox 5 out of the wild card. Colorado beat Texas, Arizona over KC. Giants got back to 500 with the 3-1 win in Detroit. They're 6.5 out of the playoffs, however. College football news, Nick Saban. Did you see this contract? Remember, Kirby signed his little deal, and for an hour and a half, it made him the highest paid coach. You can't have anybody named Nick Saban who's not the highest paid coach. It wouldn't shock me if that's actually in Nick's contract, in which it says, hey, I have to be the highest paid coach. And
would anybody have a problem?
No.
If that was in Nick's contract?
I mean, I'd have a problem if someone else was the highest paid coach. So Nick Saban got a new 8-year contract yesterday. It pays him on average of $11.7 million a year. So basically, Saban's making $1 million a game. We don't count the SEC title game in any playoff game. But for the regular season, Nick Saban is making about $1 million a game.
He's probably got bonuses if he wins a natty, so essentially he's getting paid for those championship games as well.
Right. It's like a playoff, pool of money. Sure. NFL news. Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll says, quote, we will take all the time we need, unquote, to decide on who the number 1 quarterback is. Translation, my 2 guys are not very good, and the Niners have to cut Garoppolo by next week. And this season doesn't start for another 2.5 weeks. So, I'm in no hurry. That's how badly Geno Smith played, just so you know, last Thursday. Because that job was his. It was done. I mean, for goodness sakes, the guy he was competing with, who he was ahead of on the depth chart, got COVID and couldn't play.
And he didn't lock the job down.
No, in fact, he made it wide open.
Right.
Chase Young's on the PUP list, so he'll miss the first 4 games of the year for the Commanders. Colts fear that punter Rigoberto Sanchez ruptured his Achilles at the end of practice yesterday. They were doing conditioning. They were running sprints. Blew out his Achilles. Jets release Eddie Pinheiro, so their kicking job's going to Greg Zuerlein. Chargers cornerback J.C. Jackson had ankle surgery yesterday. He's out 2 to 4 weeks. The Chargers start in, 18 days against the Raiders, but then they play Thursday at the Chiefs. So the Chargers start with 2 division games in 18 and 22 days, and J.C. Jackson, think about the weapons on those 2 teams. And J.C. Jackson out 2 to 4 weeks with ankle surgery. It's going to be interesting whether or not he can play in one or either of those games. Lions rookie wide receiver Jamison Williams is going to miss the first 4 weeks of the year. He's still coming back from that knee injury he suffered in college. Ravens running back Gus Edwards, who tore his ACL in training camp last year, still not ready to go. He'll miss the first 4 weeks this year. Nets, as we mentioned last segment, announced Kevin Durant's not going anywhere. They met with him and his people out in Los Angeles. They brought Steve Nash. They brought the GM. He hates them both, but they're, quote, moving forward together, unquote. Translation, we're paying you $198 million over the next 4 years. Shut up!
It's not where you're going to go anymore. It's shut up!
And finally, Will Zalatoris had to pull out of the Tour Championship because of a back injury. Lot was riding on the Tour Championship, including $18 million. That's when you know your back's hurting.
Yeah, when you're not participating in the ultimate cash grab.
Because also, if he had just shown up to the first tee and then withdrawn, he would have gotten a check for $300,000. Now I don't even know if he gets the check. Here's my question: do they move number 31 up into it?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so either. Which is funny because when guys withdraw from a normal tournament, you got alternates. And that was
the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So a lot of stuff went on yesterday. Not big, juicy wings, but, just a solid plate of wings.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I agree. Always. No matter what hour of the day.
Wings can be for breakfast.
Yeah. Are wings like the new pizza?
Well, no, because they're too damn expensive right now. So they're not. But I know where you're at.
They're down for the first time since the pandemic. Chicken wing prices are down below their pre-pandemic prices.
All right. Well, that's good to know.
I don't think any restaurants are charging less, unfortunately.
Well, no. So it's good to know. We got gas and chicken wings. All right.
They're on their way down, huh?
Got to start somewhere. Got to start somewhere. Miller and Moulton.
We got to come up with a poll question.
Okay. And we'll have the Clutch Vodka play of the day coming up in about 20 minutes.
There you go. Sounds like a show.
Smoke them if you got them. Miller and Moulton, right here on the Florida Sports Network. If you own 6 Southwest Florida Napa stores and were a big NASCAR fan, wouldn't you put the two together?
How about bringing Chase Elliott to Fort Myers?
Friday, August 26th, Chase Elliott will sign autographs at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers beginning at 11 a.m.
The best way to get in line, stop by one of the 6 family-owned Napa Auto Parts stores. Stop by the Napa Auto Parts stores in Fort Myers, 1820 Boy Scout Drive, or 4175 Palm Beach Boulevard. You can go to Cape Coral at 1220 Vizcaya Boulevard, 532 Pine Island Road in North Fort Myers, 17284 San Carlos Boulevard in Fort Myers Beach, or in Punta Gorda at 1810 Tamiami Trail.
Sign up for your chance to meet and get an autograph with Chase Elliott.
Coming Friday, August 26th at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive starting at 11 a.m. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Or anything to compete with pizza? No.
There really isn't. I know where you're going. I think it's a.
There's
not a day. I just looked. There's nothing. It's National Waffle Day. I mean, it's not. There's nothing.
Want to do something with that? Pancakes or waffles?
We could do it on our National Waffle Day. Pancakes, waffles, French toast.
Yeah. Make it easy. I love going away from the chat room and then having to catch up here. What? No. There.
Guys, Aaron Judge breaks Roger Maris's home run record. Is he a Yankee great? An all-time Yankee great.
If he re-signs with them, yes.
A really solid poll question, David. It's as good as we've done in a long time.
The only walk-off hit last night was in the Reds-Phillies game.
We got Judge with another home run.
Oh,
we didn't.
You doing that?
I just thought.
Okay.
Can you find Judge's home run?
Yes. 48th of the year.
What's
Correct.
the walk-off hit? What game?
Phillies at home beat the Reds. I think it was a walk-off single, but that's the only walk-off hit last night.
Because we didn't do Judge yesterday. We did Pujols. That's the only reason I figured we could go with Judge today.
I agree. All right. It's clutch.
With a K.
Thank you.
It rhymes, though, because you say the play of the day, that's clutch with a K. Bang.
Look at that. Look at that. Bada bing.
By the way, they had a bacon and plum empanada. I went bacon and plum, spicy beef, and then this forget about it one with a couple cheeses and onions. It was okay.
Yeah, that'll do.
Is this your little...
It's right next to where Boy Scout is. No, it's right next to our Napa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they are phenomenal.
Okay.
Pilar, Pilars, Pilars, I believe.
Okay. Cool.
She made 14,000 empanadas last season. Argentinian though, Felipe, a little softer, a little
yeah,
a little like because the Cuban ones like that's why I like Milanos. Hers are soft. The other Cuban ones fries them and they're too hard.
Manolos.
Manolos. What is it?
You said Manolos. It's Manolos.
Whatever. But
Yeah.
the other place, the place where I like to get the Cuban sandwiches, they fry their empanadas and they're.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You know how small the magic numbers are? I mean, we're 2 days away from Chase Elliott in Fort Myers for an appearance at a Napa Auto Parts on Boy Scout Drive. We're 3 days away from week 0. We're 8 days away from week 1. And we're 15 days away, Bills and Rams, baby. And I mean, hell, we're 18 days away from the first Sunday. I mean, I think it's a week from yesterday, maybe a week from today, that we're down to final cuts, man.
Been working on my week 0 parlay for the last 24 hours.
Anything you like?
I think so.
You're just going to keep it to yourself?
No. I think definitely the Utah State Connecticut game.
Right. It sounds like you're just betting against UConn all year.
Pretty good chance.
Isn't that Jim Mora Jr. now? Isn't he the coach of UConn? Man, these guys, Steve Lavin with the University of San Diego, Jim Mora Jr. with UConn football. I mean, some jobs are bad. We know you love coaching, but some jobs are bad.
But if you tease this parlay, Utah State, you're taking that down into the teens. You can get Vandy in like 600 at this point. Or, Hawaii, you'd be getting a boatload of points.
You'd be getting like, what, 12 or something like that? Is it possible that we're on the wrong side of this Vandy-Hawaii thing? Because, the spread, I think, was damn near a pick'em, and it keeps going up on Vandy's side. Okay, and yet I'm convinced Vandy's going to lose. Hawaii's going to win outright.
Well, that's why I'm taking the 13.
Because you're already betting against me? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm with you. I'd tease it up, take even more with Hawaii.
So you're going to be big in the Mountain West then, it sounds like, here in week 0. You're going to be playing Utah State and Hawaii.
And then I'd probably take Nebraska and move that number down and take the Cornhuskers.
I might move the under down and play the over. And it's already fairly low. But apparently this could be darn near a slobber knocker.
Got to factor in the weather in Dublin, David. You never know what you're going to get.
That's a dadgum good point. I haven't even checked out the weather. Are we talking gambling on football games? Man, that gave me goosebumps. You said me talking about, being up on the billboard, overnight gave you goosebumps. Us actually talking lines on football games just literally gave me goosebumps. And not because it's 37 degrees in here either.
It's that close. It's not it's not in the middle of June when all of a sudden we see some lines for games. We just get excited.
Right. No, we can place these bets
right now.
And the line's not going to move a whole heck of a lot.
Not a ton.
We got a poll question?
We do.
What is it?
Today's National Waffle Day, David.
Ooh.
And in honor of National Waffle Day, we're going after the syrupy breakfast. Which is better, French toast, pancakes, waffles?
That's a tough one.
It is.
Because, I'm guessing that people like at least 2 of the 3.
I like all 3. And this is very tough. I've not cast my vote yet. I'm leaning French toast.
Well, if it was my grandmother's.
See, I think when everybody looks at French toast, you look at whoever makes it the best.
Right.
Your grandmother, your mom, whatever the case may be. For my wife, it was her father. Made great French toast. And her father's gone. And she always, that's one of those things. Like, My wife's like, I'm going to make my dad's French toast. Okay. She doesn't cook much. I just get the hell out of the way and say, go do your thing, honey.
Is it the thick bread?
Well, yeah.
Well, I just, some people do, thinner French toast. My grandmother used to do,
let that egg soak in there.
Like tee it up high for a long driving competition French toast. I mean, that's how thick that sucker would be.
I think out of the three, when they're at their best, you have to choose French toast.
When they're at their best.
Yes. When they're at their best.
And at the same time, when they're at their worst, I might still take French toast. Bad waffle or bad pancakes.
I think waffle has the lowest ceiling but the highest floor.
Yes.
Of the three.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. That waffle's going to make it to the show. All right. And waffle's going to be a solid player for many years. But I don't know that waffle is ever going to be an all-star. The other two can be
needs chicken.
Hit or miss.
The CJ McCollum of breakfast foods, as we call it.
He was doing so well, too. But, okay.
You put it out there. I mean,
no one did.
No, and in a way I did. I mean, come on. I'm making a sports analogy with a waffle. I mean, so I did invite it to some degree. I mean, if I make an analogy, he's like, well, since we're doing analogies, when I think waffle, you know who I think of? CJ McCollum. And if I'm CJ McCollum right now, I'm like, wait a minute. So I got the highest floor, but I got the lowest ceiling. I don't know if I like that.
When I think French toast, I think J.R. Smith. Because at his best, I mean, he's like Steph Curry.
No.
But at his worst, it's not good. It's not pretty. But give me a hot J.R. Smith. Whew.
I will say, if you get the French toast wrong, okay, it can be bad. You have to have a bad waffle. You can have bad French toast. You can. You can have a bad pancake. You can have a great pancake.
Can you have a great pancake?
You can. It's like having a great bagel. All right. If you do the bagel right, where the outside has just enough crisp to it and the inside is light and fluffy, you can have a great pancake. And there are those out there that like blueberries and chocolate chips, I don't. I'm a straight pancake guy.
I'm with you. And I like a silver dollar pancake. It's got to be a smaller pancake.
Oh, no. I want a manhole cover.
Yeah. It gets too soggy. Doesn't hold syrup well.
Well, my food doesn't ever stay on the plate long enough to be too soggy. So,
but a big pancake can get over soggy. I'm just saying. That is, again, where your waffle holds the test of time because it's tough.
Oh, my goodness.
It's tough to over syrup a waffle.
Right. I mean, you could be caught in a cataclysmic, 500-year biblical flood. Okay. And the waffle will be there on the counter going, no, I'm good. I'm still crisp. I'm ready to go. Now I'm starving, by the way. I've never done DoorDash, but now I'm tempted.
You'll make it.
What have you done?
Good. Especially since I hear it's a fortune. But Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. So that's our poll question.
That's the poll question. On National Waffle Day.
Pancake, waffle, or French toast?
Yep.
There you go.
The waffle may end up being a little disappointed on its own day if it gets its ass kicked.
Well, once again, highest floor, lowest ceiling. Poll questions are really about ceiling. People, you vote your A choice, not your B or C choice. So waffle's probably going to get its butt kicked on National Waffle Day.
August, ladies and gentlemen. August.
No, it's also, if you go with the non-sports poll question, gets far more votes.
It's true, especially the food ones.
We don't take calls anymore. We may one day, but we don't take them right now. Right. And we always used to get far more calls when we went off the beaten path. Went down the tangent, the phones would light up. Actually want to talk sports? 2 guys. That's it. That would call. Like this topic right here, we'd have 216 phone calls. Pancakes, French toast.
They'd be giving you all the fillings they have in them. where they get the best ones at.
Guys, I just had over the weekend, okay, my vote used to be pancake, but let me tell you, I went to, Saraceno's for brunch, and I had the best French toast.
Saraceno's, huh?
I have no idea where that came from.
I don't either.
I don't even think I ever have known anyone with that name. I don't know. I was just like combining things.
Combining every mob movie and The Sopranos all together and came with Saraceno's.
So
throw a vibe at the end. That'll work. It sounds Italian.
Speaking of The Sopranos, so on the plane last night, guy next to me and one row ahead of me on the aisle has The Sopranos on. And, there are certain movies and certain TV shows that are great to watch. But when other people can see your screen, it can get a little awkward.
It's a really valid point. It's why the window seat for watching is important. You can give yourself a little tilt. You can hide out of the way. If you have a window seat outside of watching porn, you can pretty much get away with watching darn near anything on a window seat.
Right.
But
there's only one person that really can see your screen. It's the person to your left.
Yeah.
Or right, depending on which side of the plane you're on.
And they're eavesdropping at that point. So it's kind of on them. And
totally.
You can turn your screen a little bit if you're going to watch something that may have a risque.
Right.
Give it a little tip. But when you're on the aisle,
right,
you're basically inviting the whole plane to watch what you're watching.
Well, you're certainly inviting the person next to you on the aisle, and then probably 3 rows back.
Absolutely.
Who are just by sitting there, they can see your screen.
But if you get up to use the lavatory on the plane, when you're walking back, your eyes can't help but go to every television screen, computer screen. It's just
right.
It's human nature.
Yes. And all of a sudden you're on a plane, all right, and you're walking your 4-year-old back from the restroom, and there's nudity on the aisle. That's awkward.
It is.
And God forbid it's your TV. And you're like, oh, damn, I forgot this scene's in this movie. So, obviously with The Sopranos, a show that I love, maybe my favorite TV show of all time. But come on now. There are a few scenes there that are, you don't exactly need the volume to go, ooh. I'm fine with violence, but, some people on a plane may not be fine with violence. This just in. There's a little bit of violence at times in The Sopranos.
A touch.
Right.
Yeah, right. Try not to watch Game of Thrones on a plane either.
You'll see. So there was that dynamic last night. I, of course, was glued. I was staring so much that, I nearly grabbed his little earphones and put them in my ear. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
If you own 6 Southwest Florida Napa stores and were a big NASCAR fan, wouldn't you put the two together?
How about bringing Chase Elliott to Fort Myers?
Friday, August 26th, Chase Elliott will sign autographs at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers beginning at 11 a.m.
The best way to get in line, stop by one of the 6 family-owned Napa Auto Parts stores. Stop by the Napa Auto Parts stores in Fort Myers, 1820 Boy Scout Drive, or 4175 Palm Beach Boulevard. You can go to Cape Coral at 1220 Vizcaya Boulevard, 532 Pine Island Road in North Fort Myers, 17284 San Carlos Boulevard in Fort Myers Beach, or in Punta Gorda at 1810 Tamiami Trail.
Sign up for your chance to meet and get an autograph with Chase Elliott.
Coming Friday, August 26th at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive starting at 11 a.m.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, new age group in soccer. No longer
that coach.
well, we hadn't had him in 2 years. Last year's coach was great. We actually, his daughter's playing with Maddie again, but they're the two young ones, a little bit bigger field. And the practice was a little more on point. It looked like a hockey practice. I was like, ooh, all right. There's a little flow going on here. This guy knows what he's doing. I was fired up. You got the judge?
I am retrieving it now.
Okay. You know, Adam, I think if Moulton had the Soprano song on his phone, he'd play it every day on the way to work.
Yes, I would.
I could actually see that being a ringtone for Moulton.
I have the CD.
Jake's watching it right now.
Oh, for the first time.
He goes, and he's like, I know two things. And he goes, not because he kind of walked. He goes, I know Chris dies. And he goes, I saw the end. I go, yeah, but the end does nothing to take away from the show.
No.
I go, of all of, I go,
No.
one, it leaves so much to the imagination. I go, so it does nothing to take away from the show. I go, and Chris dying, so what? I go, his character is so damn good. Eventually, he had to.
Yeah, I guess. Because you could have made the case for all of them.
Right. But I mean, they're all going to die at some point.
It's kind of the life.
I was seeing, someone did a story about when he and Paulie were in the woods there. They chased the guy and they're freezing. Such a good episode.
Oh yeah. There are some people that think that that's the best episode.
I may have to revisit.
There are worse ways to spend your time.
Well, it's, yeah.
I just remember Letterman doing the joke. He was talking with Paul Schaefer, and he goes, listen, I don't want to say this show's, a phenomenon or anything, but my mom called me last night, and I answered the phone. I said, hey, Mom. And the first thing she said to me is, can you believe they killed Big Pussy? Ma! And then she repeats it.
When after he killed him, And the damn talking fish.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That one's driven deep to left field. There's a flight. See ya! A long home run for Judge. 1-0 Yankees.
We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Brett Siegel, talk a little Kevin Durant staying in Brooklyn. And the owner making him an offer that he had to accept. See what I did there? No? Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. All right, if we did the poll question last segment, you know what we do now, don't you?
Oh, I do. Time for the Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with a K. Who else? Aaron Judge did it again.
Yes, he did.
That one's driven deep to left field. There's a flight. See ya! A long home run for Judge. 1-0 Yankees.
Michael K. damn near went Bull Durham there. He damn near said that thing has a stewardess on it.
Not very excited about it, though.
That's his home run call, though. All right. You know, that's see ya. That's his thing.
I gotcha.
So,
Thought there'd be a little more there.
a little more oomph. 48 now.
Yeah. I mean, didn't even say number 48.
Right.
That's all.
So,
Not actually the Yankees television network, Michael K.
that's right.
So what's more likely to happen? Pujols reaching 700 or Judge breaking the single season record?
Well, are you talking single season record as in Maris?
Marist.
Because you can say, by the way, that is the American League record. That is the interesting factoid between Sosa, McGuire, and Bonds. They all did it in the National League. So if he were to hit 62 home runs, he would have the American League record for home runs, for whatever that's worth. But, it is a record. We don't normally separate the leagues anymore, but sometimes we do.
I think there'll be a big deal made out of it because it's the Yankee record. They'll throw that on there as well. But
Well, you do have to admit, I mean, it's like playing for the Canadians and
No.
Steelers and
I got you.
Cowboys. I mean, you set franchise records playing for those franchises. People go, ooh.
But I think they'll get more into the Yankee record than the American League record. I guess that's really all I'm saying, because that may even mean more. I know it's one and the same, but
Of course, the funny thing is it could be his last year with the Yankees.
that would be rich.
That would be.
I don't see a way that happens.
Ooh, you see what you did there? I don't even know if you meant to.
That would be rich.
That would be rich. Very, very good.
No
Nice.
matter where he signs.
Exactly. But so Pujols on a bit of a tear. He's at what, 693? Now Judge, after having a quiet week where they weren't pitching to him, the Mets decided, how about if we just challenge you with fastballs? Oh, okay. Nice to face you guys again.
Buster Olney had put a tweet out before the Mets series that basically no one was seeing fewer fastballs than Aaron Judge.
Right.
And particularly because Stanton was out of the lineup. And you're right. So
the Mets challenged him. Both home runs were fastballs up in the zone, right out over the plate, too. Judge said, I can handle this pitch.
From anybody.
And by handle it, I mean hit it a long way. 48 with another week to go in August. I mean, he's doing 10 a month. I mean, he's going to be right there. And the season ends a little later this year. Remember that, because it started a week later. So it's a shame. This would be a really big deal. It would. And I know nothing's the smaller things are made bigger deals now, and the bigger things are not made as big now. But I do think without the steroid era, if 61 was still the gold standard, this would be a BFD.
Oh, goodness, yes. It's a Yankee, for crying out loud.
And it's a very popular player, not just on that team, but like people who are fans of other teams. I mean, he's a huge guy, first off. Huge. I mean, he's like LeBron James, only bigger. Huge. And you don't normally see men this big playing that sport. And then he's hitting home runs that equal his size. And they're really good. And he looks good doing it. I mean, he's like the golfer who just crushes the ball off the tee. And it's tough, even if someone else is your favorite golfer, it's tough not to watch him and go, man, he's fun to watch.
I've told you before the show today, I have found myself in the last couple of weeks making sure when the night comes to get MLB on, and if they're on somewhere, like last night I had to go find them on TBS. It's appointment viewing right now. Every time that guy steps to the plate, there's no doubt that I'm with you, David. And it's big for me. I can't even imagine if we didn't have the steroid run that we did, how big this would be.
But instead,
it's a nice story for September.
And it's a shame also because of steroids. The home run record, the single season record, it's in such a place that it's difficult to imagine anyone sniffing it. I mean, 73. I mean, that's just, 61 is like, wow, that's a lot. 73, that's 20% more. You hit 10 a month. That's cute. That's cute. You're about 5 weeks short.
Right.
Wait, what?
Right. Add another 2 a month and you're almost there.
Right. You're almost there. You could use one more series. Don't get me wrong. You'd get a lot of attention.
And they're not playing game 163 anymore, so you got no shot there either.
Exactly, which would have counted. That was considered a regular season game.
And with the home run hitting at a level that it really has never been at, to see no one able to get to these big numbers and Judge having a shot to get to 61, it just shows you. I still say with steroids, the accomplishment needs to get a little more recognition than it does, because it's 73 flipping home runs.
Mark, the year that Mark McGwire hit 70 home runs, he didn't win MVP. He had 147 RBIs and bat 300 and didn't win MVP.
Didn't Sosa win it that year in 98?
Well, he was in the... Oh, yeah.
The year before, he nearly got to 60 and was traded midseason to the Cardinals.
Yeah, he had 58.
Right, but if you added it up, it was like, 31-27 or something like that. And no one had hit 60, obviously, since Maris. And here McGwire did it, or nearly did it, and he did it while being traded, which in and of itself is like, why are you trading a guy who's obviously hitting home runs at that rate? But I think Sosa won MVP in 98 because the Cubs made the playoffs.
That makes sense.
And the Cardinals did not.
The year after, he hit 65 home runs.
By the way, you hit 65 home runs and you don't win. You don't win the Silver Slugger, if you know what I mean. That summer was remarkable.
It really was.
Did you suspect they were juiced at the time they were doing it?
Not really.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I don't know why. Because we all knew that, I guess it was just creatine. That's all it was.
Right. It was just some powder that they put in their milk. It was like Nestle Quick. Yep. Just made them bigger and stronger.
But what's funny is I'm, at that age, I knew plenty of people that were doing creatine and getting great results. People were working out. That's all a lot of my friends did. So
I bet they're
I don't know why I never put one and one together, but I never did, David.
I bet they're bald now. Apparently, it calls it balding. I don't know. That's what I heard.
It's on his mind. Remember the thinning of the hair? It's on his mind over there. The whole.
You know what's not on his mind? Hair. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, yo, Adam, better chill, man. Better chill.
I don't think it's till September. I think they have another week or so. Remember, we had that stat like a month ago where they played like 32 of 39 against losing teams. They're still in that stretch.
Adam, I probably got more hair than you, bro. I'm sorry.
Adam, Philly is going to have to start buying special shampoo. His hair is playing Survivor, voting each other off every week. That's funny. That's funny, Adam. That's a good line.
Canada relief judge is not going to the Mets. Cohen's already said, I will not get into a bidding war with the Yankees. I do not want to create that type of war with the Yankees. Now, I think Cohen said, like, if somebody's a free agent like Ohtani and we're both bidding for him, that's different. But that Cohen said, listen, I am not going to go after their guys, even if all I do is drive up the price. He said that I don't want to get into that type of war with the Yankees.
See, Adam, I probably could have had a mullet, but I grew up.
You can't have a mullet with
No,
that
when I was
hair.
when I was younger.
Doesn't work.
I was younger. You're 22. By the way, did you see over the weekend they had like the national mullet contest, the kids mullet contest?
No.
No.
Although the only mullet thing I do know about is the thing that Mark told me, the hockey like all-star game or something like that.
The Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah, that is amazing. Would have had a
Yes, fam. If you can have a quote spectacular mullet, they had some spectacular mullets.
Adam, you don't still have a mullet? That picture just looks like just that small picture I can see looks as if that that there's a little party in the back going on there.
Did you ever have a mullet, Mark?
Oh, God, yeah.
Of course you did. Oh, man.
I had a flat top with the flow in the back.
Damn. See, part of me wishes I could have Jimmy, because I actually love Jimmy Butler's hair. I think Jimmy Butler has lit hair, but that will never happen, and it sucks. But whatever, it's fine.
By the way, Brett's all ready for us because he's tweeted and retweeted our appearance. So
All right.
that's good to know.
Huh? Now, if the
NBA
producer-
guest?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I only sent it to you 19 hours ago.
Woo! Woo!
Fired up, baby.
Good. Call him. That was quite an era, fam. That was quite an era.
He's ready. We're coming back.
Great.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan at the top of the hour to talk all things NFL. Seth Everett 1 hour from now. NASCAR driver Aric Almirola is going to call in right at the top of our 9 o'clock hour. We know for many of you, that's an hour you don't get. Well, you can get it. floridasportsnetwork.com. And if not, download a podcast. Brett Siegel, kind enough to join us once again. He works for Sports Illustrated. He's an NBA insider and reporter. Fast Break on Fan Nation is the site within the Sports Illustrated umbrella. And Brett joins us once again. You can follow him on Twitter at Brett Siegel NBA. Brett Siegel NBA. Brett, it's David and Mark. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Happy to be joining you.
We've been joking all morning, in which I said that the owner of the Nets flew out and said to Kevin Durant, "Shut up." Is that what went down?
Not necessarily. I do think that Kevin Durant had some ulterior motives here, and I think that that's something that we may not find out until 5, 6, 7 years down the road. In my opinion, I think that this was ultimately something where Kyrie Irving did not get a long-term extension like he wanted. Kevin Durant wanted him to get extended long-term, that way they could be lined up contract-wise with each other, and that didn't happen. So maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe Kevin Durant wanted the Brooklyn Nets to go out and trade for somebody. Who knows? But at the end of the day, it was a giant smokescreen like a lot of us thought. The trade market just was not there for Kevin Durant in terms of what the Nets were wanting to get. No team in the league could offer up the amount of draft assets and the player value that the Nets were looking for. So at the end of the day, we head into the 2022-23 season with Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and Ben Simmons all on the roster together. The Nets went out and made some really good moves in free agency and on the trade market this offseason. So they have a roster that can compete for a championship, believe it or not, in the Eastern Conference.
Does all this off-season nonsense matter from a standpoint of locker room cohesiveness, of, obviously he wanted a coach and GM gone. Can they work through all these, I don't know if they're little things, they could be bigger things, Is this a lot to do about nothing once the season starts, or are we going to be looking back on this offseason as to why the Nets maybe don't live up to expectations?
Yeah, I think that those are all good points, and I think that's definitely a yes and no type scenario. Can they move past this, and can they move forward and win a championship? Absolutely. I think that they have the talent on their roster to be able to do so, and I think that there's 4 players in this league that you look at and say that if they're on your team, you have a chance to compete for a championship. And I think that's Giannis Antetokounmpo with the Bucks, Stephen Curry with the Warriors, LeBron James with the Lakers, and Kevin Durant with the Nets. I think that those are the 4 players in this league that you could feel good about your chances of competing for a championship that year. So you look at him on the Nets roster, yeah, they can absolutely work through this year and go on to potentially win a championship and whatnot and find success and move past it all. But will they? I guess we'll see how the first month of the season goes, first week of the season goes, and the first game of the season, and see if there's any of this mental wear down from this offseason and whether or not the coaching staff and Durant and Kyrie Irving and everyone else can work through this, because it's definitely going to be something in the back of their minds throughout the season in the locker room, especially when things are not going well, because they will hit a rough patch at some point.
Talking with Brett Siegel, NBA insider and reporter for Sports Illustrated. Also, Fast Break on Fan Nation is the site within Sports Illustrated. You can follow Brett on Twitter, Brett Siegel, NBA. Brett, a question from our Twitch chat room. DC wants to know, did the Timberwolves essentially ruin the NBA trade market for all that they gave up for Rudy?
Absolutely. I think that's been a really bad kept secret around the league recently, is that the Timberwolves ruined the trade market. And to be fair for the Timberwolves, they went out and they got Rudy Gobert, who was somebody that they wanted, and they got him for a price they wanted. So the Timberwolves have no complaints here, and they can kind of sit pretty because they don't have to worry about Kevin Durant going to a Western Conference team anymore, because there was a lot of talk of him potentially going to the Phoenix Suns. And then this past week, the Memphis Grizzlies were recently named a dark horse team to potentially trade for him given their assets. So the Timberwolves, they have nothing to worry about here. They got who they wanted, and Kevin Durant stays in the Eastern Conference. So I think that it's definitely fair to say that they ruined the trade market. We'll see now what happens with Donovan Mitchell, though, because that seems like the next big domino that could potentially fall.
Well, when do you think that happens? What is it going to take for that to get done, Brett?
From the Knicks standpoint, if the Knicks are going to get him, I'm hearing it's going to have to be at least 5 first-round picks, and they're going to have to be fine giving up guys like Quentin Grimes and Obi Toppin, 2 of their better young players. For other teams around this league, I just don't know. I don't see that the Miami Heat have the assets to potentially trade for somebody like Donovan Mitchell, specifically from a draft standpoint. And then the Brooklyn Nets, who are also another team that have shown interest in him, the only guy that they can really give up is Ben Simmons. And at that point, are the Utah Jazz going to really be interested in Ben Simmons? I just don't see a trade developing there. So you look at the you look at the New York Knicks, that's really the only team for me that stands out of potentially getting a trade done. And we could maybe see that heading towards training camp. It's set to begin at the end of September, and it's about a month away. So these next 3 to 4 weeks are going to be really important for the Utah Jazz and New York Knicks to hammer out a deal before the start of the season.
See, Brett, here's where I think that the Knicks are basically negotiating against themselves. I mean, if let's just say what's being reported is true, that the Knicks are offering up Obi Toppin, who was their first-round pick, a lottery pick from 2 years ago, some other salary fillers, and 4 first-round picks. Well, is anybody else, Brett, offering up a better package? I mean, I don't know why. If I'm the Knicks, I understand Danny Ainge wants more, but who the hell's giving him more?
Yeah, I can't speak on to who exactly this team has offered, but the Charlotte Hornets have definitely made an offer to the Utah Jazz, and I think that they're definitely a team to keep an eye on in terms of making a big move, because they simply have to if they're going to go anywhere this year. Miles Bridges does not seem like he's going to be a part of this team any longer, and that's a big hit to them because he emerged as their number 2 option last year. Now all he has is LaMelo Ball and some key secondary players and a bunch of questions about their young core. So you got guys like P.J. Washington. You have first-round pick Mark Williams from this past year. You have Nick Richards, Kai Jones. You have James Bouknight, who's a former number 1 pick. Terry Rozier is a potential guy that could be included in the trade. And don't forget, Danny Ainge is now with the Utah Jazz. He was previously with the Boston Celtics And he had a lot of faith in Terry Rozier as a player and really liked him. So that's definitely something to consider right there with the Charlotte Hornets. And then you go a little bit more east, you go to Washington, D.C. with the Washington Wizards. I don't necessarily know if they can put together that appealing of a package to the Jazz, but they have young talent that could definitely exceed the package that the Knicks could offer. Rui Hachimura, Denny Avdia. You have Will Barton potentially, who could be traded once again after being acquired by Denver this year. You have Johnny Davis and Corey Kispert as young guards and young wings. So I definitely think that they have the young talent to put a deal together. It's just a matter of whether or not they want to give up their entire stockpile of draft picks over the next few years.
We wanted to save the hardest hitting question for the end, Brett, because today is National Waffle Day. What's better, French toast, pancakes, or waffles?
That's a tough question. I've always grown up liking pancakes, but I mean, they're interchangeable for me between pancakes and waffles. You can't go wrong there. Breakfast food is definitely number one on the list.
Brett, here's how we broke it down. We break it down like a draft pick. We think that waffle has the lowest ceiling but the highest floor.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'd put French toast last personally, but either or, I think it's a 1A, 1B scenario for me between pancakes and waffles. And a lot of people may not like that, but who cares? That's what I think.
Brett, thanks for being a good sport. We appreciate your time, particularly at this hour. All the best. Look forward to doing it again.
Absolutely. You guys take care.
Brett Siegel, he's an NBA insider. Sports Illustrated's the umbrella, but he works on the Fast Break on their Fan Nation site. Follow him on Twitter, Brett Siegel, Siegel, Brett Siegel, NBA. Brett Siegel joining us here on Miller and Moulton.
Brett going off the beaten path because pancakes in last right now. French toast getting over 50% of the vote.
And he would vote that last.
Exactly. Carl on Twitter says a waffle is just a pancake with abs.
Quite a six-pack, Carl.
Rock hard abs, too.
Yeah, quite a six-pack. Like Denise Austin abs from back in the day.
Look at you.
That was morning sports television, remember, for like a decade. We woke up to aerobics. What? Wait, what?
And a couple shows of it, too.
Oh, yeah.
They gave us an hour or two.
Oh, yeah. It was, 4 different half-hour shows. I mean, all of them involved exercise.
Right. And then you're just waiting to get to that 10 a.m. Sports Center.
I know. And finally,
where is Tom Mees?
Right. And finally, they realized, why don't we just replay the late Sports Center over and over again? None of our audience wants to do aerobics in the morning.
Yeah, but they all like to watch aerobics.
Well, there was that.
You know what Sports Center needs to bring back? The sidebar. Remember the sidebar, how everything would be organized, every topic they'd talk about? That was Sports Center at its peak.
That was not Sports Center at its peak. It might have been for you.
For me, yeah.
All right. But Sports Center at its peak was the 90s.
Right. Was Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann.
Followed by the Feel Good edition with Craig Kilborn and Brett Haber. Think about that. I mean, just think about it, because Kilborn went to The Daily Show.
Right.
He was before Jon Stewart. And obviously, we all know what Olbermann ended up doing. I mean, that's how much talent was on that show, whether you appreciated it or not.
Well, and then that leads into where Stuart Scott and Rich Eisen went, which was,
yeah.
Stuart Scott, think about, they had the ESPN kind of like Pop-A-Shot game with all the different sports. It was Stuart Scott's voice on that game with the booyah and all. I mean,
yep,
he was a star.
Yes, he was. Absolutely. And he was the biggest one post Dan and Keith.
Yes.
Yep.
100%.
Miller and Moulton on this hump day. By the way, breaking news. A few days ago, the word came that he was in hospice care. Turns out early this morning, legendary quarterback and an entire generation knew him as a broadcaster inside the NFL on HBO. Len Dawson, Super Bowl winning quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback, passed away today at the age of 87.
I remember him far more as the inside the NFL voice as I do as a quarterback.
Nick Bonacani and Chris Collinsworth. That's where Collinsworth got his broadcasting start, on the weekly Inside the NFL with Len Dawson and Nick Bonacani. But the famous picture of Len Dawson at halftime of Super Bowl I
With the heater?
smoking, right? Yep. And drinking, was it like a Coke or a Sprite or something? He's got at his foot, I think, a soda. And he's smoking. Halftime of the Super Bowl, trailing 14-10. Little different era.
Right. And then I think, a lot of us too don't, when you think of Len Dawson, you think of Hank Stram. Come on, Lenny.
Yep.
Come on, Lenny.
Keep pumping it in there, Lenny. Keep matriculating the ball down the field. Come on, Lenny.
I'll throw on the NFL radio once in a while when Charlie Weiss starts referring to Tom Brady as Tommy.
Right.
It's just one of those that you go, what? And that's what he calls him. And that's, Len Dawson, this is story. And all I think of is Hank Stram. Come on, Lenny. Keep pumping it in there.
But Len Dawson, I believe, started the great lineage of Purdue quarterbacks.
So he was before Greasy?
Yes. Because I believe at 87, he's older than Bob. So I thought it was Dawson, Greasy, and then you went Phipps, Danielson, Jim Everett, and before Breeze, I think, if you want to throw in Kyle Orton, and Breeze. But I mean, there is quite a lineage of Purdue quarterbacks. I mean, remember, Gary at one point said, I went to Purdue in part because, that's where quarterbacks went. They threw the ball, and then those guys went to the NFL and did really well.
And they weren't throwing it anywhere else in the Big Ten back then.
No.
Which even going forward, with Adam Rittenberg on the show earlier this week saying that Nebraska and the Purdues have to play the way, I don't think you do. I don't think you can.
No, I don't either. They've got better players than you. I think you do have to play differently.
Doesn't mean you don't have to stop the run defensively.
Well, that's the thing, though. You can't let it be 2nd and 4 every time. That's a problem. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan, all things NFL, on the other side. Thanks for being with us, Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
If you own 6 Southwest Florida Napa stores and were a big NASCAR fan, wouldn't you put the two together?
How about bringing Chase Elliott to Fort Myers?
Friday, August 26th, Chase Elliott will sign autographs at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers beginning at 11 a.m.
The best way to get in line, stop by one of the 6 family-owned Napa Auto Parts stores. Stop by the Napa Auto Parts stores in Fort Myers, 1820 Boy Scout Drive, or 4175 Palm Beach Boulevard. You can go to Cape Coral at 1220 Vizcaya Boulevard, 532 Pine Island Road in North Fort Myers, 17284 San Carlos Boulevard in Fort Myers Beach, or in Punta Gorda at 1810 Tamiami Trail.
Sign up for your chance to meet and get an autograph with Chase Elliott.
Coming Friday, August 26th at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive starting at 11 a.m. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers,
Are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Adam, this is where I would probably trying to kill myself, but I actually just let it cool and put it back in the plastic. The bacon grease goes in a ramekin, goes in the fridge. When I was first dating my now wife, I was moving and I had to get out of my house quickly. So I moved a bunch of crap to her house. And one of the things that I moved there was the bacon grease. And her mother was like, "What is this in the fridge?" when Nancy was down. And he's like, "That's bacon grease. He saves that." And thinking Nancy would freak, she's like, "My mom used to do that." Good to know that I'm doing the same thing you were doing in the 50s. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I like how Rozzy Cool just jumped into the Twitch chat room. I don't see you in there that often. For bacon grease is good for many things. That's why we're here, kids. Have you ever had an Ebbelskilver? Someone going for the Swedish pancakes? Ebbelskivers are like a Norwegian pancake.
Sounded like a medical procedure.
Yeah, but they're delicious. They're these little fluffy pancakes that you stuff with like Nutella or fruit. They're really, really good.
We got Pat.
On it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he gets booed every road game in a big way.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan will join us in a moment. Seth Everett in a little more than 30 minutes. NASCAR driver Aric Almirola will join us 1 hour from now at the beginning of the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. As we mentioned, Pat Kirwan joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West, a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. How are you, Pat?
I'm doing fine, and everything is. The camp tour is over, so that's a nice feeling to be off the road. Although the value of being out there is really second to none when you think about what you learn when you're out there. So I'm back, and I got a lot of questions that aren't going to get answered right away. The Patriots' offense, Tampa Bay's offensive line, and multiple others. The Pittsburgh's offensive line, Brissett at quarterback, things like that, which we're going to have to wait now to see how the regular season. I have some opinions on it, but I think that offensive line issue is really a dangerous one for Brady.
Well, Pat, what do? I mean, quite frankly, here we are late in camp. I know there will be some cuts, but what you're getting cut from other players isn't going to be much of an upgrade. What can Tampa do? Can they trade? Are there players available? How do you go out and fix an offensive line that's been this damaged in training camp?
Well, they're going to try to trade, I'm sure. Brady is going to take a hard look at what is in front of him. And think of the two guys they lost free agency and retired, Marpet and Kappa, and then Jensen goes down, and now Stinney goes down. You got yourself about the depth as well. So you need a starter, Mark. I don't think you will, as a matter of fact. But you're going to have to fortify the back end of this because you're already tapped into your backups. And when I was there, I thought Haney was really struggling personally with power. So the best they can do, in my opinion, is backups. And that doesn't spell real excitement for Tom Brady. He's a midline thrower, doesn't leave the pocket. He's not a bootleg guy. He's not getting away from the center. So there'll be blitzing inside and there'll be passion inside, because I do think that's where they're going to have problems. When I was there, I felt like, gosh darn it, the one kid was he was the best power blocker. He could actually stop a bull rush. The other guys really struggle. So I don't think there's much they can do. Tighten down the splits and get rid of the ball fast.
All right. A couple of offensive linemen have been traded here this week for like 5th and 6th round picks, and neither one of them went to Tampa. That's confusing to us. Maybe the Bucs have just been outbid. Like, Arizona's 5th round pick is seen as going to be better than Tampa's by Buffalo, and maybe that's why they chose Arizona. We don't really know. But Pat, I'm of the belief, and this is where you get to crush me. But I mean, if I'm Jason Light, I mean, come on, this is Brady's last year, and this is probably the best chance we have to win a Super Bowl for the foreseeable future. I don't have a 4th round pick next year. Do I put day 2 draft picks on the table and try to acquire starting offensive linemen, offering up a 2nd and or a 3rd round pick to get starters? I can sign J.C. Treader if I want. Do I call Washington? You were there and you said you thought they had 10 quality offensive linemen. I mean, Pat, I'm willing to sacrifice next year's draft to make a best run possible at this year's Super Bowl, because it's probably my last best run.
I agree with you. I thought the Cody Ford was a miss. And I don't know if they got involved. I would have if I were them. Cody Ford is, first off, he's a complete upgrade from where they are. That's my Now, if they don't share it, then we know why they didn't go after him. The compensation was low, and you really could have just trumped out with a 4th-round pick. And I had been in Buffalo, then I had gone to Tampa. I knew Cody Ford was going to be on the trading block, and I looked at what they had in Tampa, and that's before they lost Stinney. And I said, he's an automatic starter here. And so, yeah, I thought they missed on that one. Some of these other trades, when I hear a 7th-round pick in 2024, that means there's never going to be they're going to cut the guy and then they're going to not owe anybody anything. So it was really Cody Ford. And I don't think you're going to see a guy of Ford's status in these last cuts here. Now, we've already released 320 players. I'm 160 last week, 160 this week. Some are on IR, and so that takes them out of the mix. But basically 300 guys, and nobody's surfaced that I would say is near Cody Ford. And I don't think he's an all-pro, but I do think he's a starter on the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Pat, we've listened to Aaron Rodgers complain about his receivers. We know Matt Stafford's elbow is a little banged up. We now know the Tampa Bay offensive line is a bit of a mess to start the season. Does this change any of your opinions on the NFC? And is there somebody now that you weren't thinking of that you think of more highly, or is this just a conference that by what's happened is just weaker altogether?
Like the 7th seed in the NFC, I don't think it's going to be a team with a really good record. That's how I see them. We start the East. I think there's a real chance that Dallas and the Eagles will make the playoffs. One will win the division with 10 wins, and the other one will be, the West with 9 wins. After you go past that, it's Green Bay, Minnesota. I think Minnesota's good enough to be in as a wild card. They really don't have. It seems like every time they really have to beat Green Bay, they can't do it. When you look at the roster, you're kind of like them. So there's 4 teams I think are in the mix. Saints in the Bucks. There's 6 teams in the mix. I'm not a big fan of the Cardinals, although, I probably should take a harder look at them. The Rams, all of a sudden, we're up at 7 or 8 teams. So those are the teams. And I don't think there's many teams, if any, that would surprise me coming out of the NFC. On the other side, David said it 2 weeks ago, the AFC is leaving someone out that's going to be really good. The NFC thing, I think, I don't know, 9 teams get you in, something like that.
He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, also part of CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joins us twice a week during the season, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Who are you worried about right now that you weren't worried about when you started your training camp tours?
That's always a good question. And some of the teams I worry about, I didn't get the chance to see, but I've got a chance to study them. When I answer that question, it's going to be because I thought they were going to be good enough, and now I realize they're not good enough. I will just roll through those things here. The Patriots, a little scary right now. The offense is not really functioning. It's well documented by a lot of people. I've said this before on my show. Stop 3 guys call plays and forget all that process. And the whole responsibility of Patricia or anyone, but I'd hand it to him first and get away from him. There is a rhythm to play calling, and there is a level of confidence required to keep being the play caller. Sure, a head coach can, and he and Matt Patricia, Belichick and Patricia are very close. But having Jones in the middle of this, I think, and now the quarterback is a second-year guy, and he's got to answer the problems with the offense day and night. So there's a team that I am now officially worried about. The Bengals, I haven't seen them, but I think they'll be okay. The Browns now, with the setback with the quarterback, I don't really think that they're going to get going. And by the time they get the guy back, it'd be a mess. I'll tell you another team that now a complicated problem. That's the Chargers. The Chargers lose J.C. Jackson for 2 to 4 weeks. Well, the first 2 games, as you guys know, are the Raiders, Devontae Adams, and then the Kansas City Chiefs. They could be behind the 8 ball with a division record right away. If you go look at that roster, maybe Asante Samuel has to take the big guy now, but they're going to be tapping into rookies and real true backups right off the bat in those two big games. So that could knock them really out of the race kind of quick.
JC,
so those are the teams. And I don't know about Denver now. Like, everyone likes to talk about Denver. When I was there, I asked myself, does this team look like a team that can win this division? I had some questions about them.
by the way, JC Jackson had what they call a procedure on his ankle, and apparently it's something that he's had for years. 2 to 4 weeks, but they're 18 days away from the Raiders, and then they play the Chiefs on the Thursday after it. So he's got a game in 18 days and 2 games in the next 22 days, and his recovery could be up to 4 weeks. So the Chargers could be without J.C. Jackson, Mark, for Raiders Chiefs to start the year.
Well, Pat, I'm going to throw it at you the other way of teams that you're worried about. Who are we sleeping on that might be a little bit better than from what you've looked at that people aren't given the credit that you think they should be getting?
Are on that list. There's a lot of things I like about where that thing's going. And just talking to Josh the other day, he definitely has matured from the guy who went in Denver. So I do like them. I think a lot of people like the Colts. I joined in that group. I like the Colts as well. The Steelers, and I don't think they're going to be in fourth place. Be real careful when it comes to the Steelers. They got a bit of a nasty attitude right now, and they will play defense, and they will run the ball, and those quarterbacks are athletic. And I just talking to Canada, the OC, I think he's pretty excited. He has never had the opportunity to build an offense with bootlegs, RPOs, all the things that Ben couldn't do. And I think it's going to help a bad offensive line. Spoke to Paul Alexander yesterday for a while, and he said, look, that's this line. They're going to break contain. They're going to get outside. And now what does that do? As soon as you have that element, and they've got it with Trubisky and Pickett, now you can't let those defensive ends cross the tackle's face. Last year, there was always a two-way go on the tackles because Ben couldn't run, wasn't going anywhere. Now it's going to be contained rush. And Paul basically broke down how the tackles are going to be okay because they're going to know it's an outside rush all the time, and they'll be able to set the speed. And so I think, and I would just like the way they think there, personally. And this is kind of one of those years, if you talk to Bill Cowher, which I do regularly, he used to thrive on this kind of season. Things were down, and he's going to play to it, and he's going to keep reminding them. And when the coaches didn't need to talk to the players about, hey, no one respects us and all that nonsense.
Right.
They were just angry. They have an attitude there.
More with Pat Kirwan coming up on the other side. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
If you own 6 Southwest Florida Napa stores and were a big NASCAR fan, wouldn't you put the two together?
How about bringing Chase Elliott to Fort Myers?
Friday, August 26th, Chase Elliott will sign autographs at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers beginning at 11 a.m.
The best way to get in line, stop by one of the 6 family-owned Napa Auto Parts stores. Stop by the Napa Auto Parts stores in Fort Myers, 1820 Boy Scout Drive, or 4175 Palm Beach Boulevard. You can go to Cape Coral at 1220 Vizcaya Boulevard, 532 Pine Island Road in North Fort Myers, 17284 San Carlos Boulevard in Fort Myers Beach, or in Punta Gorda at 1810 Tamiami Trail.
Sign up for your chance to meet and get an autograph with Chase Elliott.
Coming Friday, August 26th at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive starting at 11 a.m.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Is Saratoga this week, Pat, or was that over the weekend?
It's this week.
Perfect.
I'm up there. I don't know. I'm sure you weren't listening, but we had a classic Dennis Miller moment the other day. It was hysterical. I should send it. I got the sound. I'll just email it to you.
Send it to me.
You won't stop laughing. Some guy named Brian, a Ram fan, calls in and he's completely out of his mind, screaming and yelling, which we don't get a lot of that. And when we do, we kind of just break the guy's balls. We let him keep screaming and yelling. But, you know, it was the East Coast bias. You guys love the Bills. We're going to mop up the floor with the Bills, you know, all this Ram talk. And they said, look, I was going to pick you to win the game. So, you know, who do you think you're talking to? So he goes on and on and on. And then he got right into Jimmy's face, and Jimmy got right into his face. And when he got done, the phone rang, and right away, it's Dennis Miller. He goes, I'm not letting this one go. Put me right on. Okay, you want to hear his opening line?
Sure.
Brian, you're a dick. And then proceed to call me. He goes, it's clear to me that you're an LA City Council member. Got all the answers, and your place is screwed up. He just didn't stop.
That's
Oh,
funny.
that's funny.
Just blowing it up. But then Dennis called again yesterday, and he goes, I went back and listened to what I said. I totally disagree with Brian, but I'd like to apologize for calling him a dick.
That's funny.
Dennis went on for 5 minutes, just full blast. I was laughing. I had texted Dave. Said, did you hear this Dennis Miller thing? And he was having dinner with his mom or something. But the people at Sirius were like, maybe we should hire Dennis. I said, maybe that's why he's doing this. That would be a great show, David. You and Dennis Miller.
Well,
on Moving the Chain.
Why don't you just have him go back with Al? Okay, you can do Thursday nights. Add him to the booth with Al and Herb Street.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Al can handle Dennis. Al likes Dennis.
Yeah, I like Dennis too. And so Jimmy says, hey, we have a real treat. Coming up right now is a great actor and comedian, Dennis Miller. And Dennis yells, Jimmy, I'm a comedian. Ain't no actor here. So, that's how it started. And then he went into Brian's a dick. Yeah, if you guys, I'm going to send it to you.
Oh, please do.
Oh yeah, it's just too funny to laugh at. Can't find it. I know I have it though, because my brothers all wanted to hear it.
So, hey, do you know Matty Hutchins from over at West Bay, a young kid, Car Barn?
I know who he is. I don't hang out with him.
No, I know that he's up in Wisconsin caddying this summer. He caddied for Rogers 3 days ago.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Good kid. He said Rogers didn't say much.
10 seconds.
Rogers is.
Here we go. Here we go.
Strange.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Another 10 minutes with Pat Kirwan, talking all things NFL, which is what Pat does weekday afternoons on NFL radio when he and Jim Miller are moving the chains. Pat's also part of CBS's NFL Today show. And he joins us once again courtesy of Pinchers. Tampa to Key West with a dozen locations in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. Pat, I never like to ask you a question which could put you in a bad spot, but I don't know if you heard the news. Len Dawson passed away. He had been put into hospice a few days ago at the age of 87. You know, there's a whole generation, besides the fact because of his age that people did not see him play. And he was on, you know, those great AFL teams that helped lead to the merger. But also, you know, Dawson, Bonacani, and then Chris, you know, Collinsworth, This Is the NFL, the weekly show on HBO. You know, that's all part of, in the 70s and 80s, you know, how television really helped shape the NFL and helped, you know, plow their way ahead of baseball in becoming the number one sport. You know, that show had a role.
It absolutely did. And it was must-see television for anyone who loved football because there was no ESPN. There was no, when those guys got rolling, it was really all you had. And I don't know if I ever missed a week of seeing those guys. Just a chance to see some more highlights. All we got was on Monday night, Howard Cosell would show us a couple. We all loved it. And then you'd wait for, I think it was Thursday night to get those guys. Yeah, I'm with you. And, you know, someone once said to me in the TV business, I always like to ask them, you know, you've been around a long time. How did this happen? How did we grow into this monster? And he said, well, for starters, a TV screen is the size of a football field. It's the same exact size. And it was a game that television really made it even better than it was, where the other sports aren't like that. And, you know, the guys down in South Jersey at NFL Films, they had an awful lot to do with creating it. But I'm with you. I don't know. Did you guys ever miss that show? I watch it every week.
It was appointment television, Pat. And for me, it was appointment. You know, this is, you know, goes back to when I was a kid. You know, this is something that I think to David's point, this cut a lot of our teeth to the NFL. When This Week in Baseball was the big show on network television, inside the NFL was every bit its equivalent for football, and it was all we got for highlights. And it was, to me, Pat, one of the first teaching shows because they took time to break down film, and we never had that experience with football before that.
No, it was ahead of its time, and you know, there were shows that came after it that I don't understand. I thought Ron Jaworski was another guy that did a great job on breaking down the X's and O's on television. And I never understood why that show didn't stay on forever. And I used to compliment Ron all the time about it and about how he saw the game and how he brought the game to the fans. I'm with you 100%. I still think there's room for shows like that. The fans that I talk to complain to me all the time. They don't want to hear all the shit. They don't want 2 hours of Lamar's contract. They want an hour of Lamar and is he worth it as you break down his game. That's what they want. And they don't get that a lot. So as I say, there's still room for those kind of programs. Take a lesson from Bonacani and you know, the guys that ran that show. And, you know, my friends like Dan Marino, he was on it after those guys got off it. Yeah, I miss that kind of stuff. And we try to do it on the radio, which is a little tougher, but we try to break stuff down all the time.
Well, and also, you know, Lenny and those Chiefs, you know, Hank Stram is the coach. I mean, the Hall of Famers that were on those Chiefs teams. And, Pat, that goes back to, we're talking now about, the spring leagues and, the USFL, how it compared to the NFL. Well, Len Dawson was a reminder of how great the football was in the AFL. I mean, there were like 5 Hall of Famers on those Chiefs teams that went to Super Bowls 1 and 4. We all know how good the Raiders were. Namath, obviously, with the Jets. I mean, for goodness sakes, the merger had to happen. Those AFL teams were great.
I loved the AFL when I was young, just a kid formulating my own mindset about how to play football, how to coach football. I was a big AFL fan because they knew that they had to play a different brand of football, and it was wide open, and they weren't afraid to do. And it kind of made the NFL look boring. And the NFL was a tight end, 2 wide receivers, a fullback, and a running back, and they're going to run the ball close to the vest most of the time. Meanwhile, the other league was mad bombers all over the place, and some very famous quarterbacks, LaMonica, et cetera, that just made you feel like this is how I want to see football. And then growing up, I was like 12 and 13, the guys in the neighborhood, we would be arguing all the time. You think the Jets could beat the Giants? Stuff like that. And, when it finally happened and the Jets did it, it was like extremely exciting for me. That proved that what I liked about football, which was the AFL, was better. And then, of course, the merger, you're right about that part of it. I think you get when you're hungry, like Hank Stram and those guys, and half the time they're not getting a look in the NFL for jobs. They get pretty creative, and they got a bunch of players that kind of had a chip on their shoulder too. I knew a bunch of the old Jets that won. Number of them, 2 or 3. It was John Schmidt was a Hofstra guy, and a bunch of the other guys were Hofstra and local guys. And it tells you about the game. The game can be won with passion, and the AFL guys had passion.
All right, put your GM hat on. We've got about 2 minutes left. What do you expect between now and final cutdown day that maybe will surprise people, if anything?
Well, Lamar will get his contract. That's not going to be a big surprise. I don't think he would hold out, but I think they'll get it done. Garoppolo, I think, is going to be released. I mean, I wouldn't, if I needed a quarterback like Cleveland, I'd just go get him. I wouldn't care about the money because you gotta stay alive in the race. So those 2 things are going to happen. As I said, I don't think you're going to find players anywhere right now that are just going to come in and plug in. You hear all there was Isaiah Wynn, and go look at the Patriots. Isaiah Wynn's their starting tackle. There's nothing behind him that I think is going to compare to him. So I think a lot of the trade talks are going to fizzle out.
Pat, appreciate your time and your insight. Let's do it again someday, okay?
Yeah, we could do Friday if you want to do that.
Well, all right. We'll take it under advisement. How about that?
Have a team meeting and then call me.
All right.
Perfect.
Our people call your people. Pat Kirwan, weekday afternoons, NFL Radio. The show is moving the chains. It's Pat and Jim Miller. And also, he's part of CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. I love the Chiefs. I did. I love those old Chiefs teams. I loved Otis Taylor. I did. I was a big Otis Taylor fan.
Okay.
I was a young kid. He was one of the first Chiefs that I remembered.
I wasn't old enough to really be a part of those guys, so you're kind of on your own.
No, I know. Sorry about that, but I did. And I didn't like any
liked
Chiefs teams.
the Knights,
and I didn't like any Chiefs teams after it. Basically, once the Dolphins in the longest game ever played, once they beat them, the Chiefs basically faded away. I wasn't into the Chiefs until Mahomes.
I can agree with you there. I was never into the Montana year that he was there. Any of the Chiefs teams never did much for me. And now it's on the short list of places I want to see a football game at too.
Yes. And they broadcast, by the way, at Arrowhead Stadium there from the Len Dawson press room. because of his inside the NFL involvement.
By the way, did look at the picture where he's got the heater on the bench.
Yeah.
It's a Fresca. It is a green bottled Fresca between Len Dawson's legs as he sits on the chair ripping the heater.
At halftime of Super Bowl I. That is one of the great sports pictures.
Miller and Moulton. I'll retweet it here shortly. Seth Everett, he's next, right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hi, Seth.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Want to have some fun on Twitch?
Sure.
The new addition to my office. It's a very, very important like proverb that's been going into my world. See it?
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Isn't that funny?
All right.
The way it was in this souvenir shop. It was like not hidden all the way. And so I just saw the first and I was like, that's kind of boring.
Who wins in a fight, Iron Man or Batman?
Oh boy.
Seth, your kids start school next week. Like when do they start?
Next Thursday.
Oh, that's right. So you start right before Labor Day. That makes a lot of sense.
It makes no sense.
None.
They have 2 days, and then they have a day off, and then we get off for Jewish holidays, and that's in a couple of weeks. And there's never a 5-day week until I think October.
It's painful. Trust me. Now, do you do a lot? Do they have a lot of the half days up there? Those are the things that
we do a lot of half days. Half days. I always wonder about half days because we're lucky we work from home, but what about people who don't? What do they do?
And I don't know about you, Seth. Like, because my kid's younger than yours, but it's the number of, we have a great after school program, so I can leave my daughter right at school. The teachers run it. She gets all her homework done. I pick her up at anywhere between 4 and 6,
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. I mean, these parents that are picking up their kid, they're there at 11 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what it is that they do for a life, but it's crazy these half days when you have 2 working parents. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, today we have to go. My little one, 5th grader, she has to pick up a Chromebook. And they only give you 1 day. And you just have to do it. I'm driving up to Cuse tomorrow.
For?
Well, they're having this big meeting, this kind of welcome back meeting. And I haven't been there in 2 years. And I just kind of want to. It's not like a mandatory thing, but
right.
I said I'd go.
How far is it for you to get there? How long of a drive?
3.5.
Oh, that's not bad.
No. And the meeting's at 10, and I'm going to leave at 5:30. And for me, that's sleeping in, so it's fine. So I'll go 5:30. I'll get there like 9:30. I'll go. I'll shake some hands, kiss some babies, come back. Catch up on a lot of podcasts.
Yinzer, look it up. I think both the Steelers from the 70s defense and the Chiefs defense from the late 60s into early 70s, I think they both have 5 Hall of Famers. I think they're tied. And Super Joe, it may come down to not just that final series in the final week of the year, but, the Mets dominated the Phillies here, not just for the season, but in the last couple of weeks. They went, I think, like 5-2 against them in a 7-game stretch.
12 and it was like 12-5.
And the Braves have 7 of their 16 games left against winning teams. 7 of them are against the Phillies. So in a strange way, how the Braves do in those 7 kind of compares to how the Mets just did in their 7.
15 seconds.
Seth, did you ever go to Friday Night Freakout and ski? It's a Syracuse thing, I'm guessing. So that's a no.
Never.
Okay.
Never.
We're coming back.
Maybe this week.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Our lawyer buddy will be on the show tomorrow.
Yeah, Daniel Wallach, there's been a lot of talk of the Florida gambling. He's putting out an article today, I believe, and we'll discuss what it is he had to say on the show tomorrow.
And some interesting things going on in the state of Florida's appeal and who is actually supporting the state. And obviously, if they're successful, then sports gambling will return in a big way. But it probably won't happen till the spring of next year at the earliest, if it does. So Daniel Wallach tomorrow in our 8 o'clock hour about that. Aric Almirola, NASCAR driver, joining us coming up at the top of the hour. Seth Everett joins us now. He of the 3 great podcasts, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream. He's got 2 others that apparently are not worth mentioning. You can follow Seth on Twitter at Seth_Everett. How are you?
I'm good, guys. That's very funny.
Glad you like
2 others that are not worth mentioning.
Right. Well, you laid that on us a couple of weeks ago.
One of them just had its 100th episode. That wasn't worth mentioning.
Well, you listen.
This is because you don't mention them.
Right. And you were the one that said like 3-4 weeks ago, well, I'm actually involved in some other podcasts.
No, no, it's just not something I own. It's something I do contractually, and I do it and I submit it and it's theirs. They own it. I do something with Bovada Sportsbook, and it's an online, like, what are the latest odds podcast. Called At Odds.
All right. Well, that's it. It's not worth mentioning. I mean, if you don't own it, I mean, really, it's just another invoice in your life. I mean, how big of a deal?
That's right. It's a 1099.
So, Seth, what is new in your world sports wise? I mean, we come on like I struggle with this every week because we used to be able to say, "Hey, Aaron Judge," and you had great responses. Hey, and
Aaron Judge.
Now, since you're anti-baseball, I almost try to throw it up underhanded.
No, I'm actually I'm
planning.
I'm planning on I'm actually going to a baseball. Well, I'm going to a baseball park. I don't know if there'll be a game. I'm for iHeart. I'm covering the U.S. Open, and so I'll be there on Monday. To get settled and see some great tennis, and it's one of my favorite events to cover. Last two, I didn't go because of COVID and stuff. But this one, I'll be there. And, as you know, the U.S. Tennis Center is right across the street from Citi Field. And it just so happens that the new manager of the New York Mets is an old broadcast partner of mine, Buck Showalter. So we're in talks to set up a Sports with Friends in-person podcast. And I will walk into a baseball stadium for the first time this season. So, yeah, that's been going on. The decision that the Mets had a concern was just about it being dated. With baseball being played every day, is it better to talk to him in the off season? And I said, I'd rather talk to him both. I'd rather talk to him now before the rigmarole of the playoffs and then after. Because, Buck Showalter is a perfect individual to talk about the analytics and all the things that seem to be plaguing baseball and yet he has embraced and still is relevant. I find him fascinating.
Did you catch the Joe Madden interview that he did with he sat down with Mark Topkin? I mean, he did it over the phone, in which, Madden was very pointed, in which he basically said, listen, would I manage again if it's the right spot? And he basically defined the right spot as long as it's not some 28 to 43-year-old general manager who's going to shove analytics down my throat.
Yeah. No, Joe Madden said that. And the irony is, when he was there with the Rays, he was at the forefront of using analytics to change the way the sport was going. So it's just funny to hear him say that. It's the same thing when Theo Epstein said that, things need to change and that's all well and good. Look, like I said, it's never was like a protest. It was just, I don't need this crap in my life. The product has not been good. The things I see and I read, I watch a lot of highlights. I've seen this baseball season. None of it has done anything for me in terms of, there was this rally. You mentioned the Mets and the Phillies, and the Mets had this big 9th inning rally, and all it was one bloop and 2 home runs. And I'm thinking, like, was there ever a moment where there was tension? Was there ever a moment where we were sitting there and saying, "Oh my goodness, what's going to happen one way or the other?" It's just, I've been watching that documentary, the Captain, the Jeter documentary. Those are some of the best baseball games I've ever seen in my life. I know what good baseball looks like, and I just don't see it anymore.
Well, and Seth, I know you'll probably say, I'm sorry when I say I've been watching a lot of baseball the past few weeks because there's nothing else to watch.
There's nothing, yeah. Well, preseason anything. I have trouble with preseason anything. That's not a indignation of football. Preseason anything is boring.
I'm with you, but I mean, what gets me is with all the analytics, what I can't understand is like even last night, Alonso dropped or couldn't field a fly ball past first base. It's a routine play. Every night I'm watching guys make horrible defensive plays because the ball's not in play, and yet teams refuse to pressure defenses. It is the one thing that has astonished me when watching this, that no matter what analytics rule out, but it seems that when you put the ball in play, good things happen.
Always. And it's always been, a big model, for me at least. The other baseball story I saw that was really cool, Ken Griffey Jr. is going to be the hitting coach for Team USA at the World Baseball Classic, which reminds me to a show that I did with Ken Griffey Jr. when I said that if you're going to take that international tournament seriously, you should play it in October and November. And he agreed. And so, it was just interesting to see. I like the idea of Junior getting a chance to see if he likes it as much as they like him. I'm sure he has hitting knowledge to embark. I just, never thought he would want to be in a clubhouse again, traveling, 162 games.
Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett. Did you hear the story? And one of our Twitch viewers wants us to ask you about the story that happened in Philadelphia over the weekend when the Mets were there. And apparently, Mets fans bought a lot of tickets, including a fan club that bought like 1,800 tickets.
Yeah.
And so the president of the fan club threw out the ceremonial first pitch.
Yeah.
Right. That's the Mets fan club president throwing out the first pitch in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's the same organization that said to Pete Rose, sure, go in our booth. See how that goes.
By the way, this is a playoff team right now, too.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. The Phillies are pretty decent, but yeah, I saw that. I got a chuckle out of that. I thought that was funny.
I'm guessing the sports
That's the
talk,
7 line, right? The 7 line? Yeah.
right. I'm guessing the sports
those
talk
guys.
radio in Philadelphia is just going crazy about that this week.
Yeah.
Well, they're always known as such a hospitable fan base and how
Right.
warm they are to opposing fans.
Although I will say, when my kids were little, that was the park we took them to. In 2011, I worked with the Phillies, and I just found that park to be the best atmosphere, the more family friendly. There's a playground in the right center field concourse. I always thought that Philadelphia was a nicer park than Citi Field or Yankee Stadium.
It's funny you say that. Was just visiting my mom for a few days, and I took her to a game in Philadelphia. And she's been to games at, Shea/City. She's been to Yankee Stadium. She loved the ballpark. Loved it. The
It's a
food,
gorgeous
the
place.
atmosphere, everything. Loved it.
Yeah, it's a top 3 ballpark. I think my top 3 are now they call it T-Mobile Park in Seattle. That's still my number 1. Petco Park in San Diego is still my number 2. And I think Citizens Bank Park is my number 3. Coors Field is probably a close third.
Oh, nobody ever mentions Colorado in the top 3 of anything.
I love Colorado. Oh my God. You just go there and you sit and you see the mountains beyond the left center field wall. Oh, it's gorgeous.
It's got to be. I mean, it's like, PNC Park where the Pirates play. Same thing. All the bridges
Yeah,
out.
the river.
It's a
although
gorgeous field.
you shouldn't give credit to those parks for the natural aspects of it. Like in San Francisco, they didn't build the water. Don't give them credit for that. Don't.
No, but they acquired the land close to it,
Right.
because there's a lot of places they could have put it. Wouldn't have looked that pretty, Seth.
Of course. My thing with San Francisco, in order to get from the clubhouse to the dugout, you have to go through the concourse where season ticket holders can go. And I was there in 2003 when Jack McKeon had beer spilled on him during the Marlins-Giants playoff. And I always thought, what kind of a dumb park puts the situation? You have to go from the dugout to the clubhouse.
Well,
what a stupid park. And then people would respond to me and go, well, but they have the water. And I go, they didn't build the water.
But remember, at Candlestick, you used to have to walk down beyond the fence to get into your locker room. So
I never went to Candlestick, but yeah.
It's kind of a Giants thing. By the way, Artie Moreno, just like that, he's selling.
Yeah.
And we're wondering, does that keep Ohtani, or does that absolutely guarantee that he'll be gone?
I think it guarantees he's gone. I think he's gone before Moreno sells. I don't think he sells like this week. Just saying that he's exploring a sale. Sports rights have, and sports valuations of franchises has gone so high right now, even in a sport that's not as popular as other sports. I think Artie Moreno is going to have a large time spent where he vets out potential owners and things like that. It's going to be similar to what you saw with the Denver Broncos. I don't think that was unique to the NFL. I think it's what sports valuations are right now. So I think Ohtani's gone before any of that happens.
What do you got coming up on the podcast, Seth?
Aditi Kinkwabala. Did I say that right? Yeah, I did. Yeah.
We're still on the air, so I think so.
CBS Sports. She was with the NFL Network for 10 years. She is the reporter that interviewed Deshaun Watson. And in the podcast, there is a in-depth critique of how she got the interview and how she handled the interview. There's a lot of talk that she didn't push hard enough. A lot of people said she shouldn't have brought it up on a Cleveland Browns broadcast. It's a fascinating conversation with Aditi Kinkwabala. Hall of Justice is the Umbrella Academy, season 3. It was on Netflix this summer. That's a fun one. And Text Stream, I got into a fight with Spotify. I literally got into a big fight with Spotify. Spotify can literally go to hell. That's what Text Stream's about. Which you can hear on Spotify.
Beef. It's your personal beef with Spotify.
Oh, it's all me. Yeah, it's my beef with Spotify. Spotify flagged 8 of my 300 Hall of Justice podcasts for copyright infringement for 6 seconds of a drum beat. So that's an algorithm. That's not a person. If you had told me all 70 of the episodes that had that 6 seconds of audio, that I'd understand. Hey, they changed the copyright rules. To flag 7 and make me have to redo those 7 episodes, including one from 3 years ago? Nah, I'm sorry. Screw Spotify. Pay your artists. Spotify pays their artists 1/3 of a penny for each time it's streamed. Come on, full penny. Give these artists. Stop picking on mom and pop podcasts and go pay your artists. That's what Tech Stream's about.
For the record, when you said stop picking on, you went Lou Piniella.
Well, a lot of people like Spotify. They like to hear the Justin Bieber. And, the Harry Styles is really popular. Rolla Bunya's used to like Harry Styles.
I'm just saying, if you were to play it back, when you went stop picking on, you went Piniella.
Jeff Sarah used to like Spotify a lot.
He's Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream. He hates Spotify. He loves Batman. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett. Be well, my friend.
Batman. Always be Batman.
Be well, my friend.
See you guys.
Seth Everett, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. He gets dressed up for us, though.
I know.
He wears a different sports-themed shirt. He had a poster for us today that he showed at the beginning and end of his appearance on Twitch. It's another reason to follow Miller and Moulton on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. A few of our guests come on via Twitch, including Seth Everett, every week.
Probably should ask Seth the poll question, although who knows what direction that would have taken us. French toast, 42% of the vote. In honor of National Waffle Day, what is better, French toast, pancakes, or waffles? Right now, French toast getting 42% of the vote, waffles getting 31% of the vote, pancakes bringing up the rear with 27% of the vote. You can go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FL Sports Network on Twitter, or FloridaSportsNetwork.com to vote on today's poll question.
Tell you what, though, I like it. All right, it's getting competitive. I like it. French toast was running away with it. The other two making a comeback. For those listening, Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice, thanks. Aric Almirola in the bonus hours next. If you own 6 Southwest Florida Napa stores and were a big NASCAR fan, wouldn't you put the two together?
How about bringing Chase Elliott to Fort Myers?
Friday, August 26th, Chase Elliott will sign autographs at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers beginning at 11 a.m.
The best way to get in line, stop by one of the 6 family-owned Napa Auto Parts stores. Stop by the Napa Auto Parts stores in Fort Myers, 1820 Boy Scout Drive, or 4175 Palm Beach Boulevard. You can go to Cape Coral at 1220 Vizcaya Boulevard, 532 Pine Island Road in North Fort Myers, 17284 San Carlos Boulevard in Fort Myers Beach, or in Punta Gorda at 1810 Tamiami Trail.
Sign up for your chance to meet and get an autograph with Chase Elliott.
Coming Friday, August 26th at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive starting at 11 a.m. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
And yes,
You at all interested in this Mike thing on Hulu they keep showing?
no.
I am a little.
I have a feeling I'm going to have to go Hulu.
Well, you're going to have to get the bundle.
I
Now, do you have Verizon?
I do.
What you need to do is go renew your package with Verizon. Because
I think it came with it, and I didn't sign it.
You're supposed to get the bundle with the new Verizon package. That's what that's
Okay.
that's ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus. Not that you're going to watch Disney Plus, but if you get it for free, it's back to the ESPN Plus articles. You know what I mean?
Right, which I'm paying for. So maybe I could stop paying for.
Yes. $10 is $10.
Pete who? Rose?
So, David, little insight. I talked to John. The food truck is the Aussie food truck. It's the Outback's fast food place.
Oh my God. They're usually pretty prompt. So they'll usually call like 9 o'clock, and we got to be done no later than 10 after. We'll probably be done at 9 after. But and just explain to them, we're coming out at 01:30. But they've got your name and they have your cell phone in case something goes wrong. I think we may get more things from this Russell guy who set it up, because he still thought that we're a one-station deal.
Well, the other thing I was going to ask from this guy, see if he can find us a marketing guy.
Oh, for money. Yeah. Be nice to be on at Daytona.
Yeah.
I know that you market elsewhere, but still,
But
it would be nice if that came through here soon. So he's got a win to get in.
mm-hmm.
He's made the playoffs the last 4 years. He's won at Daytona before.
Mm-hmm.
He's only got 3 wins, but one of them's here. And he said at the beginning of the year he's retiring, but now there's been some talk that he may not. So,
And he's won at Talladega too. So
Yeah,
he likes
just
super
3.
speedway. So
exactly.
Yeah, and Sean, if you're a Verizon customer now, that bundle's free.
They've got nothing. So they have to say, is it really we have nothing?
I've not seen, Tannenbaum's not been on all week, so I've not seen him drop a punt yet.
Gotcha.
But that's because
Eric's on hold. or coming
Greeny's
back.
not been on.
Right. Has Rossini caught a pass this week?
No, she hasn't.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the start to the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. And with Daytona 3 days away for the second time this racing season, well, Chase Elliott's coming to town on Friday, but Aric Almirola joins us now. Driver of the Smithfield Ford Mustang for Stewart-Haas Racing. He needs a win to get in for the fifth straight year to the playoffs. Aric, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time. How are you?
I'm good, fellas. How are you?
Well, we're doing well. First things first, you announced at the beginning of the year you're retiring. I keep hearing rumors that you're not. So which is it?
You'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. You'll have to wait and see.
This has been a terrific year for NASCAR, all the different winners. How much pressure is on the drivers? When did you notice that there's all these different winners and now you're at a win or not get in playoff? How long has it been this type of pressure this season, Aric?
Honestly, from the beginning of the year, we all knew at the beginning of the year that with this new car, it was going to present different challenges, different weeks. And on any given week, a team could hit the setup and, go on and have a great race and win the race. And there's so much competition in our garage area right now. There's so many high quality teams. I mean, you look at the point standings and you have Ryan Blaney sitting second in points that hasn't won a race. And you have guys down in the mid-20s in points that have led laps and contended to win races. So the field is very deep right now. And, we've seen that with all the different winners. So the pressure's been on all year long. And, it's certainly an imminent situation as we head to Daytona.
Aric, we have liked it as fans. Have you liked it as a driver? Do you like this car? Is this more interesting, more fun?
I do. I like the car. I don't know that it's more interesting or more fun. I think the fact that it was an unknown and it's taken all the race teams some time to figure out the car and figure out what it needs from track to track and really build that notebook of, data and history on what the car, what setups do well at what tracks. That's been, the part that has created a lot of this uncertainty and created a lot of the drama around the races. I feel like as time goes on, the teams will get better and better at understanding what each individual racetrack needs from a setup perspective, and the teams will start to hone in, and it will become, the racing, in my opinion, will start to become more and more like what we're typical of and less of the surprises. But for right now, I think it's been a lot of fun. I think that this car will continue to race really well. It's just the way the car was designed. It races side by side a lot better than our old cars did. In traffic, nose to tail, about the same, maybe not quite as good, but overall, I feel like this car has raced really well. The tracks have done a great job at promoting the events. We've been seeing incredible turnouts at the racetrack. Sold out grandstands at a lot of these racetracks we're going to, sold out camping for the entire weekend. So that's been fun to see.
You go to Daytona this week. You've won at Daytona. You've won at Talladega. So you like super speedways. But is there anything, because this car is so different, is there anything you take from your past positive results at these type of tracks that you can use with this car, or is it just what you have basically from this year?
Yeah, you just have to go off of notes from this year. There's really nothing from any of the previous years that correlates or is, even applicable to this car this year. So you have to go off of, what you've experienced already just this year. And, I think as we've seen, the speedway races are different. The runs that come are very big, very fast, and it's just a different form of speedway racing. You can lock bumpers, but you got to be very careful on how you do that. We saw at the Daytona 500, it's very easy to turn somebody if you push in the wrong spot on the racetrack or on the wrong spot on their rear bumper. So there's a lot of nuances about this car when it comes to super speedway racing that make it unique.
Talking with Aric Almirola, who finished 5th in the Daytona 500, needs a win Saturday night at Daytona to get in the playoffs for the 5th straight year. He's the driver of the number 10 Smithfield Ford Mustang for Stewart Haas Racing. Listen, you're born in the Panhandle, raised in Tampa, graduated high school there. Was this your favorite track? Is this your home track?
This is my home track, absolutely. When I was a kid, we took many of trips across I-4 from Tampa over to Daytona and went over there to watch NASCAR races. I went over there as a kid every year at Christmas time. We would have Christmas morning and at home and open presents. And then that night, Christmas night, we were loading our truck and trailer, headed over to Daytona for Daytona Kart Week. And we would spend December 26th through December 30th at Daytona for Kart Week. So I have a lot of really fond memories as a kid going to Daytona, and it's just a special place for me. I had big dreams when I was a kid going over to Daytona, and now a lot of those dreams have become reality, and not everybody gets to experience that. So it's always fun for me to go back to Daytona.
No, they don't. And to say the very least, that's a very cool story at the very least. Aric, I'm curious, when you race this weekend, when do you know, if you've got a car that's set up and you think things are going well, how many times does that change in your brain over the course of a race? Can you think in the first stage, all right, I've got the car, and by the middle stage, it's not there? How many times will you have different ideas of what your car can do on this weekend?
Oh man, you'll have different ideas, multiple times per lap. That's the crazy thing about super speedway racing is, I relate it to the fact that it's very similar to a quarterback going up to the line of scrimmage and calling an audible, once he sees the defense. But what, he's going up and looking at one defense. We're on the racetrack with 39 other defenses. And so there's everybody else on the racetrack is making moves, and you have to adjust what you're doing, and you have to react based on what they're doing. And you're trying to make the move that's best for you to put yourself in the best position. So you're constantly calling audibles multiple times, per lap. And it's draining mentally. That's the one thing, when I go super speedway racing, at the end of the race, your brain hurts. Physically it's a challenge, but I'm trained for that. But the amount of focus, concentration, and the amount of just reactions that you're constantly making is tremendous.
Aric, I know you got to go. 10 seconds. Do you race any differently knowing you have to win to get in?
Yeah, you take more chances. You put yourself in positions you wouldn't typically put yourself in, especially when it comes down to the end of the race. You try to win the race, but at the end of the day, if you can get out of there with a top 5 finish and some good points, then you take those and you always weigh out that risk versus reward. But right now, as we go to Daytona for the final race of the season, you're willing to go with extremely high risk because the reward is extremely high, and it's the last opportunity to get in the playoffs.
Aric, thanks for your time. We know you got to go. Be safe on Saturday, and best of luck.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Aric Almirola, driver of the number 10 Smithfield Ford Mustang for Stewart Haas Racing. 3 career wins, 2 of them on super speedways, 1 each at Daytona and Talladega, 5th in the Daytona 500 earlier this year.
You know, you can tell the difference between a Florida driver and someone that's born and raised in the Carolinas. He makes a football reference when describing driving.
You can follow Aric on Twitter. By the way, it's Aric with an A, ARIC _Almirola. So you can follow him on Twitter. Look at him being coy there right off the hopper.
Well, you came with the high heat right off the bat.
Which is funny. I thought I was throwing it in underhanded. I said, hey, you announced your retirement, but there are rumors out there that you may not be retiring. So which is it? He's like, you'll have to wait and see.
Sounds like someone that's going to be driving next year to me.
Yeah, does me too.
If I were to place a bet one way or another.
That the doors that definitely open. He's only 38.
Well, there was nothing that these guys have to do interviews. It's part of their job.
Sure.
We got him because he's promoting an event. But they can mail it in, or they can do it with a little bit of enthusiasm. And you could generally tell that he likes the car that he's driving in, likes where the series is at right now. You would think this sounds like a guy that wants another crack at it, particularly when you've made the playoffs 4 years in a row and you're on the cusp of not making them, and you have to win the race to get in.
15 of the 16 spots are assured. If somebody who hasn't won can win, well, they'll be in. Kurt Busch, who's in, could be knocked out because he hasn't raced in 6 races. And so he's the lowest of those that have won races. He's at the very bottom of the point total. So he could be bounced out. That's what I read.
I just thought all the winners would get in.
That's what I thought too. But I thought that there's a scenario in which even a winner could be bounced out. Now, maybe I read that before last week's race, and if we had had back-to-back winners, that he would have been the one knocked out. But that's how crazy a year that we've had. When they put this formula into play, the thought was we'd never have 16 or more winners in the first 2/3 of the season. We're lucky if we get 8 to 10.
Which should make the playoff just as wild.
Yes. So Saturday night, by the way, is the race. And as we mentioned off the top, Chase Elliott is coming to Fort Myers Friday.
He doesn't even have to race Saturday if he doesn't want to.
He's in as the number 1 seed also in the playoffs. He starts with a little points lead, kind of like, Scheffler starts the Tour Championship with a 2-shot lead.
The one thing on that I didn't look at, because Zalatoris out, I don't think the other players then move up to where he was. He was at 7 under or whatever. So that's just going to be an empty spot.
Correct. Yeah. Which I don't agree with. I think they should have called number 31 and said, hey.
I actually don't. I will tell you, I thought it was riveting watching the playoff come to a conclusion. All the players that were jockeying for 30, guys having to make pars on 18, guys having to make shots. It's the top 30.
But when somebody withdraws from an event before the first tee shot, the alternate gets in. Wouldn't 31 be the alternate?
Not in a top 30 event. No, it's just the top 30.
Well, don't you have to have 30 in a top 30 event, though? You only have 29.
I don't know what to tell you.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com.
golfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfcarts.com. FLGolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It is so funny. Also, if the day ever comes where we're 6-9, we'd be at that different level of Twitch.
Yeah, if the day ever comes that we're doing year 2, just get me to year 2.
Well, isn't that now assured with the sponsorships?
We're not at 20,000.
I think it's difficult for him to walk away now.
They're back to it being a hobby again.
Well, there's no doubt about that. I mean, I don't see how it can get to where they say they need it is when you're not working at it full time.
Right.
So.
I mean, there's do it and we split you know what I mean?
Excuse me.
Whenever was he in the 88 car? Almirola? That's because whenever he replaced Earnhardt Jr., I didn't agree with him being in that seat. Well, who was supposed to be in that seat? Did Almirola drive the 88 for a year, David?
Hold on.
Anyone from Tampa in the Twitch chat? I have a question. I want to know if Blake High School and Tampa Prep have a rivalry.
I don't think he did race in the 8 car. Yes. For Earnhardt Ganassi Racing for 1 year, half a year. In 09.
KW, do you think it's really one obscure question? Because I think it's about 5 a day that have nothing to do with anything, that he just pops in to ask a random question. Because you have to remember, he sleeps during most of the segments.
I have I don't know if it's just ADHD or I just think of obscure questions and just demand answers.
Well, I don't really think you demand an answer.
Or
because trust me, if you'd have demanded it, you wouldn't have gotten it either.
I crave answers. I always need answers to the unanswerable.
Well, it's not unanswerable. It's just not to this group because no one has any idea what you're talking about.
Exactly.
At all.
At all. Just shot in the dark. Oh, Mel, you're at the Holiday Inn. You need some
That's
breakfast cards?
Sean. That's exactly it. You hit the nail on the head right there. If there's too many breaks to go by where Felipe hasn't been able to talk to someone, he'll just randomly. That's why he runs over here when I go to the bathroom so he can get his face on camera. You are 100% correct. That's why he's being quiet now, because he knows you're right.
Well, I mean,
You feel a compulsion to get dragged into Twitch.
well, I like showing my face to people so they know I'm alive. Hi, how's it
We
going?
got you. By the way, I have Rose is suspended for baseball for life for gambling today. You had that yesterday.
Yeah.
Just for what it's worth. The only reason is I'm saving these. Like every day I save it. So in the event that
Come
we
back.
do this a year too.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when. Final thoughts all coming up in a little less than 20 minutes. Len Dawson passed away this morning at the age of 87. Hall of Fame quarterback, MVP of Super Bowl IV. Longtime broadcaster. This is the NFL on HBO with Nick Bonacani. Late in its run, a novice sportscaster by the name of Chris Collinsworth joined the fray. And he did Chiefs games for 33 years. Started the legendary Purdue line of quarterbacks in college that would go on to the pros. Greasy followed him a few years later. There was Mike Phipps, friend of the show, Gary Danielson, Jim Everett, Kyle Orton, Drew Brees. They've had some Mark Herman from the 80s. I mean, they had some quarterbacks there, and he started it. Len Dawson was 87.
Our poll question today has to do with National Waffle Day. In honor of it, which is better, French toast, pancakes, or waffles? French toast, 45%. It's been the leader, jumped out early, kind of like Tiger Woods in a major. Just jumped out to the lead and sticking with it. 45% of the vote right now. Waffles getting 30% of the vote. Pancakes with 25% of the vote.
Kind of like Adam Scott now. No?
No. Not even close.
He always jumps out.
I was going to say, was he talking golf? Because it's so rare when he mentions something that's not basketball related. So my first thought was, well, he can't be talking golf. Who the hell's Adam Scott, the basketball player? Okay, but then he stared at us like, come on, guys, you know Adam Scott, the golfer? So I will say, I mean, he's made the Tour Championship finals. He's sniffing around. I guess when Felipe turns on his ESPN Plus and is watching golf, Adam Scott must be high up on the first page of the leaderboard.
I'm a big Adam Scott guy.
Okay. Well, by the way,
Well, you and Mrs. Scott.
Yeah, he could be one of those, by the way, playing his last event on the PGA Tour. All right. If you look closely at where the LIV is going, they're going after the internationals. They want their tour to be a world tour. They are all in on that. The PGA Tour is not. It's an American tour. And the LIV wants it to be a world tour. They're modeling what they're doing after two sports, cricket and Formula One. And what is it that Formula One has largely done?
An event a continent is how they operate.
Or per country anyway.
Yeah.
Now, they have multiple events in the U.S., which is unusual.
But it's brand new.
Right. And they're sensing momentum, and they're trying to, all right, let's ride this. Let's there's a lot of money there if we can really keep this going, this will be great.
But they don't go back to back typically on the same continent. They work
right.
They work the globe.
And the other thing is Norman is held in a certain regard by international golfers that's higher than he's held in the U.S. Greg Norman was probably, even at the height of his popularity, it was the 30 for 30 that ESPN showed that the place that treated him the worst was the U.S. And even now, I think the place that's treating him the worst is the U.S. So just saying, it would not surprise me, Mark. Put it that way. If Adam Scott is one of the 7 that bolts.
Already looking forward to Monday and Tuesday to see when the fallout comes, because at some point, they're going to get closer and closer to having to figure out a relationship. I know the PGA Tour keeps going scorched earth, but when they keep losing top 50 players in the world and the John Deeres of the world don't look as good as the Live Tour events, at some point a resolution has to come, and the Live Tour keeps getting more ammo.
I don't think there's any back down from either side until, and if it happens, the PGA Tour loses in court. I think right now the PGA Tour feels, listen, if we win in court against these guys are done. The money will stop. Be like, well, why are we doing this? We tried. We thought we could put a tour together, and we did for a couple of years, and it'll go the way of the USFL. LIV wins in court. Now the PGA Tour has got to pick up the phone. So I really don't think we're going to get a phone call till the spring of 2024 at the earliest. Hope I'm wrong, but don't think we will. I'm going to throw a name out there, by the way, not about golf. We had Pat Kirwan on last hour, and we were talking about the Bucs and their offensive line situation. And we're trying to figure out, well, who in the world can they go get? And I think you're on board with me in terms of giving up.
There's not a trade I wouldn't make right now, David.
Okay, so and they don't have a 4th-round pick next year, but if they have to give up a day 2 draft pick, a 2nd or 3rd-round pick to get an offensive lineman. Do you know Pro Football Focus just put out this morning the 8 names that may surprise you that they think are available in a trade before cut day, that their teams are willing to move on. By the way, one of the 8 is O.J. Howard in Buffalo. That's interesting. But Mike Gesicki on the list. You know who else is on the list? Raiders offensive lineman Alex Leatherwood. Not starting right now for the Raiders. He was the 17th overall pick in the 2021 draft. But remember, the GM and the coach now weren't the GM and the coach when the Leatherwood was taken 17th overall. Think about this. Since he's in year 2, his guaranteed contract for this year, 1.3. Next year, 2. The following year, 2.6.
How much would you give?
I'd offer a 3rd-round pick right now to the Raiders for Alex Leatherwood if I was the Bucs, and I'd put him in at guard. Boom.
All right. The Raiders say no, they want something additional. They wanted a 2nd or they want a 3rd end.
How about... Oh, boy.
Would you give up the 2nd? I guess it's at the end of the day.
I would, if I had to, but I would try to figure out maybe there's somebody else on the team. Maybe I can go with 3rd and one of my extra receivers, although they don't really need receivers.
Thin, yeah.
All right. You know, they don't need a running back because they're cutting Kenyon Drake. You know, not really sure where I can go here. They are thin in the secondary, the Raiders are. The Bucs have a bunch of guys in the secondary because half their secondary was wiped out last year and they had to play a bunch of kids. So maybe I could go a 3rd and throw in the secondary so that I don't have to give up my 2nd-round pick.
But you would, if need be.
Totally. Like if
I would too.
If I heard that somebody else higher up on the food chain was offering a 3rd-round pick, and therefore their pick's better than mine, but that would be my offer. I'll give you a third, and I'll offer to throw in like my eighth DB, who would make your team because our secondary is better than yours.
I think they would take that.
And then, by the way, I'm signing J.C. Tretter.
Well,
can we just stop this?
That charade has to end. I don't understand why this has gone on so long.
So that's my thought. Just throwing that out there. Interesting little story Pro Football Focus has put out, by the way, about the 8 names that may surprise you that are on the trade market before cutdown day next week.
And Gesicki's been on our list in that way for a while, noticing how long he played in the preseason game in their last contest. So we have been telling you that may be on the horizon as well. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when. And what's on tap? All still remain right here on the Florida Sports Network.
If you own 6 Southwest Florida Napa stores and were a big NASCAR fan, wouldn't you put the two together?
How about bringing Chase Elliott to Fort Myers?
Friday, August 26th, Chase Elliott will sign autographs at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers beginning at 11 a.m.
The best way to get in line, stop by one of the 6 family-owned Napa Auto Parts stores. Stop by the Napa Auto Parts stores in Fort Myers, 1820 Boy Scout Drive, or 4175 Palm Beach Boulevard. You can go to Cape Coral at 1220 Vizcaya Boulevard, 532 Pine Island Road in North Fort Myers, 17284 San Carlos Boulevard in Fort Myers Beach, or in Punta Gorda at 1810 Tamiami Trail.
Sign up for your chance to meet and get an autograph with Chase Elliott.
Coming Friday, August 26th at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive starting at 11 a.m. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com, flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Adam Scott's 32nd in the World Golf Rankings.
Oh, wow. I did not realize that. I did not realize that Fancy's made it on the Food Network for their chicken and waffles.
Wow.
God dang, that picture of Lenny is just something. The
Isn't it?
knee-high socks. The fact that that's a Chiefs jersey. You know, white with just a red 16 on it. Looks as much like a Washington jersey as it does a Chiefs jersey. Love him ripping the heater. God, that's something.
Ugly bag of water. You say Adam Scott won't be missed. I'm curious, how many more names, though, can the PGA Tour afford to lose? I mean, how many guys, when you see them on the leaderboard, do you go, oh, now you may be a huge golf goober, so, you know everybody and you're into them, but
Here's the thing that I've found, because I'm not a golf goober. I know who they are because I do what I do for a living,
Right.
but I'm not a golf goober. Even though I'm fascinated by the LIV Tour, I still watch the PGA Tour.
okay.
The LIV Tour still seems hokey to me.
Well, I will say, though, the LIV Tour's not made it easy for you yet.
No.
You know, like next year, in theory, if they have a TV deal.
That's what I'm,
10
Like
seconds.
Brando, when Bedminster was up against the PGA Tour event, and he was watching both, and Brando said,
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Got a good show today. Brett Siegel 2 hours ago talking NBA in the wake of the Brooklyn Nets saying to Kevin Durant, shut up.
I'm telling you, we read that article completely differently.
I know they flew out. They tried to make nice. This is what you have to do with the coddled athlete of this day and age. But they basically said to him, shut up. 4 years, $198 million. You're not going anywhere. By the way, have you looked at our roster? We're good. If you old guys can stay healthy and actually do what we brought you here to do. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know if there's anybody better on paper than us right now, okay? So you're not going anywhere. Shut up. And Pat Kirwan, Seth Everett, NASCAR driver Aric Almirola. So if you missed any and all of this, download the podcast, floridasportsnetwork.com. That's kind of what I'm getting at. In a long-winded, yelling sort of way.
Right. I mean, and if you missed it, you're going to blame us. Then shut up. Because this is pretty easy to find.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Great day today, August 24th, David. 1853 is where we will start. Chef George Crum at Moon's Lake House near Saratoga Springs prepares the first potato chip.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
What a major event this is. So next year.
George Crum, by the way, invented the potato chip.
So next year will be the 150th birthday of the potato chip. Right? 1873?
1853.
Oh, I'm sorry.
170.
So 170. We got to celebrate it. Look, next year, we need to remember this. Day after your birthday, the potato chip.
I'll bring bags of them. We'll just
Yes.
sit here. And during this segment, what I want you to do is you and Felipe keep the mics up loud and just one of you hammer Ruffles, one of you handle just hammer Lays.
Done.
See if you can take down a bag during this segment. I'm throwing a challenge at you. Not a little, I mean a bag.
The big bag?
Yeah.
During the segment?
Yeah.
Longest segment we have is 15 minutes.
I've seen your work.
I mean, I think I could come close, but I mean, the big bag.
The family size. The one that you and I keep for ourselves.
Right. Like we go and we buy two, one for us and one for the family.
Right. 1891, Edison patents the motion picture camera.
Oh, man, he was busy.
He certainly was. 1912, ticker tape parade, New York City for Jim Thorpe after the Olympics. I brought this one up because everybody complained so much when position players pitch. Today in 1940, Red Sox left fielder Ted Williams pitches the last two innings of a 12-1 loss to Detroit, allowing 3 hits and 1 run.
See what the Rays did last night? Guy who had a homer and 4 RBIs, the catcher. They put him in with an 11-1 lead, and he pitched a scoreless ninth. I can't imagine the Angels are too happy about that. Trailing 11-1 is one thing. Leading 11-1, that could be taken as rubbing it in.
Get more hits, score more runs.
All right.
Now, this is on me because I should have looked this up, because this simply says in 45 that Cleveland ace Bob Feller returns from Navy and strikes out 12. Now, I don't know if it was his first game upon returning. It reads that way. And would it surprise you?
No, it was like Ted Williams. When he came back in September of, he left in April of the year before and came back in September. So he missed almost 2 full seasons. And when he came back without any spring training, he had 388.
Today in 51, it was fans managers night for the St. Louis Browns. Bill Veck's team had fan managers night. The Browns coaches would hold up placards for fans to vote on strategy options. They would win the game against the A's 5-3.
Look at that. Bill Veck doing internet polling back in the day.
Hit and run? No hit and run.
Wait, what's his sign?
Oh, I love everything
Is
about that.
this like college football when they hold up all the signs on the sidelines?
Exactly. It's funny you say that. That's the exact thing I was thinking about when I did this last night.
You know who I think was part of that promotion? Gus Malzahn.
75 PGA, end of the day, Al Geiberger wins, leading wire to wire. 1979, Rock and Roll High School was released. And in 2008, just for Philly, the American men's basketball team wins gold at Beijing with a 11-point win over Spain.
The redeemed team.
That's right, after the bronze in 04.
Those born today that are no longer with us: Carlos Gambino, Yasser Arafat. Those that are still here: Mike Shanahan is 70, Cal Ripken Jr. is 62, Reggie Miller is 57, Rich Beam is 52, and Dave Chappelle is 49 years old today. And that, David, is today was the day when.
I only got one thing for you. 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius erupts.
Yeah, see, I had that yesterday, so it's one of those things that they...
Did it take a day for the news to spread?
Could have taken a day for it to erupt, for that matter. It started rumbling yesterday, I think blew today.
Well, and yesterday I had it as it was the day that Pete Rose.
Right.
And it may have been the day he signed, but it went into effect today because you had it.
That he was banned from baseball today. We said it yesterday, so.
Right.
I just got one. It's National Kobe Day.
Wait, what?
8/24. Today's National Kobe Day.
Ironically, yesterday was his birthday.
Yeah. Different animal, but the same beast. 8/24.
The Lakers retired both numbers, too. He did pretty much split his career.
Yeah, 10 seasons, 10 seasons.
Yeah.
It's better than retiring Pau Gasol's number there.
You got that right. Unbelievable. It's ridiculous.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
All right. I did not mail these in. I worked. I looked. And I'm disappointed in what I'm bringing you for today's good, bad, and ugly. But we go to Krispy Kreme for the good because the donut chain is putting doggy donuts on the menu for the first time. They will be available Friday, sold in boxes of 6 for National Dog Day. So as if the lines at Krispy Kreme weren't long enough, now people will be bringing their pooches in there. For the bad, we got a new Smyrna Beach, where a video of 2 men dragging a shark across the beach, stabbing in the head surfaced Saturday, freaking out social media users and questioning the legality of the practice. As you can hear a woman on the video saying, "You shouldn't be doing that. Why are you doing that?" The man says, I'm taking it to eat and feed my family. It's not illegal to do what they did. It may be a little tough to see.
Yeah, people went nuts.
And
want this guy, 2 guys prosecuted. They dragged this shark, out of the water. It was edge of water, sand, and they dragged it pretty far up. And then, they stabbed it like in the brain, and eventually it
That's how
died.
you kill it.
Yeah.
Right. Then you eat it.
Right. Yeah,
called fishing.
People were losing their minds on social media.
Finally, the ugly, we go to Warsaw, where an 81-year-old Danish woman was traveling from Africa to Canada, was popped at the Warsaw airport with over $500,000 of smack. The 81-year-old said that she had been given the suitcase with gifts for relatives in Canada. Not that she was trafficking heroin across continents.
Right. Nothing to see here.
That is the good, the bad, and the mule ugly on today, August the 24th, 2022.
14 baseball games today, 6 of them in the afternoon. Braves have a chance to cut it to 1.5 against the Mets, who are idle today, but the Braves play damn near a mighty nooner, a 12:30 start in Pittsburgh. Think about if the weather cooperates. See, this is where, man, if that franchise was even decent, think about it. The Braves are a very good team, defending World Series champions. That's a beautiful ballpark. 12:30. School doesn't start for another couple weeks in Pittsburgh. I mean, come on, it's a perfect play hooky day.
Yeah.
Put in half a day, 12:30's first pitch. But they're terrible.
Let's see. The Pirates are what? They are 47-76.
Correct. They're 29 games below 500.
Yeah, that's quite a team.
Yep. Atlanta's minus 260, by the way. FS1 tonight. Baltimore Orioles getting some national attention, hosting the White Sox on FS1 at 7 o'clock. Marlins, by the way, with the 12:30 start out west against Oakland. So remember, 2,600 and change Monday night, 4,028 last night. Put them together, that's 6,700. That's our over-under, because we know the Mighty Nooner is their best weekday showing. Will there be 6,700 on a Wednesday 12:35 first pitch in Oakland for the Marlins?
I'm going to go yes. It's probably the last Wednesday home game before school starts. I'm expecting a big crowd today. They will exceed the 2 games with game 3 of this series.
I think you're right. I'm guessing it's like the last school promotion. Last time to hear squealing kids. Rays, 7 o'clock tonight, host the pathetic Angels, who are 19 games below 500 and for sale. You do get to see Mike Trout, who homered last night, by the way. Twins needing wins in Houston, Milwaukee needing wins in Los Angeles against the Dodgers. Pretty much the big games on the schedule. Guardians in San Diego. Cleveland beginning to open up a little bit of room, kind of like what St. Louis has done in the Central. They're up 5.5. Cleveland's up, 3.5, I think.
And the Padres can't get out of their own way. I mean, they make all these moves, and they're doing the same thing they did a year ago. It is astonishing to me. Cleveland got that game last night. We'll see what they do with this little West Coast swing.
Cleveland up 3, by the way, on the Twins, 4 on the White Sox. So there you have it. Full day and night of baseball, pretty much split in half. So we're both going over on the 6,700.
We're going over.
All right. Think about that. 6,700.
It's embarrassing.
You think? You think? And listen, the fans are protesting. It's not like the fans are awful. They're protesting the fact that the team was torn down and had been competitive for the last 4 years, made the playoffs a couple times, and they said this is ridiculous. And their payroll's like staggeringly low, like 30-something million. And so the fans have just said, the hell with it. You're not getting our money. You're not putting any money into this. We're not going to give you any money.
I mean, think about Oakland. They had their basketball team ripped over across the bay. Baseball team's probably going to Vegas. Football team already went to Vegas.
Correct. And that'll be it, by the way.
They'll never get another team.
No. And the commissioner is on the side of, I want a decision by Labor Day. I don't care. Because we got to move on and start putting the pressure on Tampa St. Pete.
Isn't the Oracle and the Coliseum located next to like a port or something like that? Like right off of a highway, right on the water?
Well, the Coliseum's not in a good area, and the Coliseum is a dump, an absolute dump. It's a disgrace where the A's are playing.
You know, before the Warriors moved to San Francisco, the Oracle was the oldest NBA arena, older than the Garden.
Right. Because that's not the original Garden that the Knicks are playing in. Yeah. So, I mean, all of these Oakland franchises have truly been in the right. I mean, the Coliseum goes back to the mid-'60s.
There's raw sewage throughout the building.
Yes.
And everybody knows it. And it's now just commonplace talk that a professional franchise plays in a landfill, essentially.
And there are also rats. Now, they're not New York City-sized rats, but there are rats.
Well, it's because they eat more avocado. It's California.
Right. No, they're healthier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get out more, work
less
out.
Carbs. The arteries aren't as clogged. Right.
By the way, that'll be the last NFL/baseball stadium that once shared both.
Oh, yeah. The multi-purpose stadium.
Yeah, that'll never be done ever again.
You're so right, Felipe. The late 60s throughout the 70s, cookie cutter round stadiums in which the baseball and football teams all played on them.
So strange. I just remember watching Dolphins games on the TVs and seeing them run on clay. I was like, that's so weird.
Yep. You had the first 4 to 6 games of the year, you had to worry about the damn infield.
Yep.
Don't want to kick on the infield, whatever you do.
Well, and if it rained, you're right. It's like, oh, where can we position this? Well, we got to run right because there's grass over there. Von Schaman can kick on the grass. Look at that. Going Uwe Von Schaman. That's old school, baby.
Look it up, Philly.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Look it up. Reminder, we're just 2 days away from being on the road. Our show will be at the Napa Auto Parts on Boy Scout Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Chase Elliott will be there at 11 a.m. Should be a terrific day at the Napa Auto Parts store on Boy Scout in Fort Myers. Hope you can stop out and see us. There will be a food truck there, David. It will be a treat for you, to say the very least.
Really?
Oh, yeah. On a lot of different fronts, just to make fun of me in and of itself.
I like it. I am really liking the sounds of this. Plus, out with the peeps.
Can't wait. I'm fired up. Haven't done a show out in a long, long time, so I'm looking forward to doing that on Friday. Hope to see you out at Napa Auto Parts on Boy Scout. We'll do this all over again tomorrow morning. We thank you so much for listening to Miller and Moulton. Where else but right here on the Florida Sports Network.
If you own 6